Good morning, Delaware Valley and beyond. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Wednesday as we get you started here after another not so great night. Yeah, not good. Amy, how are you today?
I'm well. It's Wednesday, big day. We've got the doubleheader, Phillies Yankees. Actually, it's a triple header if you think about it. I'm gonna get down there for the end of the Phillies Yankees because it's Kids Run the Bases Day.
Okay.
Then you've got Team USA basketball, 3 o'clock. That'll be we'll watch that.
South Sudan.
And then 7:30, we're going to the Liverpool Arsenal friendly.
What a day for the Kane Fadul family.
The boys are already down there. They're taking in the baseball game. I'm just going to go meet up at the end of it.
I love it. It's funny you say run the bases. Ray, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Would have been better if the result was different last night. But
did your mom sit in the middle of you all like she was in the picture you sent us, or no?
No. She sat on the end of the row. And
was it an aisle?
No. We were in the middle of the row, but she was like the end of us, I guess, and the side of us.
Was she quietly happy or was she obnoxiously happy? Where did she lean towards?
Well, I wouldn't call her obnoxiously happy.
Well, I said which one? Like, I mean, there's two.
Yeah. Closer to quiet than obnoxious.
All right.
Okay.
But she was happy. She got a chance to.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really fight it.
No, you can't.
She had a nice night. My dad was living and dying with every pitch. I think it meant a little bit more to him.
Yes.
I like to think about, when they got together, the 90s were probably a difficult time for him watching all those World Series.
They made it, though. They made it.
I kind of felt that in every angry comment he made last night of, like, the number of championships he must have watched with her.
That must have been awful, actually.
Yeah.
What a terrible time to be together. Like, if you're two opposite sports fans where one team is absolutely dominating, the other one can barely, muster up a winning season.
I'll tell you, that is impressive. I never thought of that, but, having a relationship.
Think about 95, 96, 97, 98, 99.
Yeah, and you don't root for the same team. It sounds silly, but that's got to be a tough in a relationship.
He's had it tough in general. He went to school up in, the Northeast, so, New England area. So all of his fraternity brothers through the years with the Patriots.
Gross.
And, now... Obviously, he's been married for quite a bit to a New York sports fan that got to see a pair of Eli Manning Super Bowls. He's had a rough go. Every time he gets upset at sports, I have to, remind myself, I've had it pretty easy.
Yes,
he's had to deal with a lot of people around him celebrating before he got a chance to.
Tough.
That is tough. God bless him, though.
I feel like you could have, you could have, an opposite fandom to a certain degree, but it couldn't be as drastic as, when you see, the Mets and Phillies. People together. I'm I don't understand how that goes.
I don't know how. Were you were with us at the Sixers thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the girl was a Knicks fan and the guy was a Sixers fan. She was from New York. He was from Philly. Now they live in Jersey.
Yeah, and I
something
thought,
crazy.
I don't know. I don't know.
You got to look at it if you overcame that, you can overcome anything.
That's true.
So I guess that's the way you look at it. But before we look at anything else, we got to get through the front page.
Now, the front page. The stories everyone's talking about. 97.5, The Fanatic.
The headline is one word. Ugh. UGH, capital letters. Ugh. Yeah, Phil's losing 12, 7-6 to the Yankees last night. Pretty cool how they tied it with Johan Rojas, or as in the story I was reading this morning, I called Ray over, they called him Josh Rojas in the story today.
Oh, Josh.
But Johan Rojas scores to tie it the ninth, I guess. But Phillies lose. They're trying to avoid a sweep today for the first time this season. I got a text from a buddy that, laid out all these things. Look, it's baseball. These things happen. And he's very much a numbers guy. And he said, they'll probably lose today because they'll throw out a weird lineup, probably. This was early this morning. And teams don't go through seasons without getting swept at least once. Well, he was absolutely right that they're throwing out a weird lineup today, but we'll get into that later. Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Alec Boehm, Brandon Marsh. 2 for 26 last night. 2 for 26. That's almost impossible. Austin Hayes, your lone bright spot. 2 for 4 RBIs, first home run as a Philly. Matt Strahm didn't have a good inning last night as he gave up 3 earned runs, the 3-run homer. Since the All-Star game, he's pitched 4 2/3 innings and given up 5 earned runs. Jazz Chisholm, of course, 2 more home runs last night. The guy, look, when you're down and you're not feeling good about your team, emotions are on high. Part of me last night was somebody's got to take it out on this Yankees team a little bit for the way he acted after that second home run. I mean, okay, I know it's a time where we allow bat flips and all that stuff. That's fine. Okay. If that's what you've all agreed to as players, as competitors, that you're going to allow somebody throw a bat flip and you're not going to say anything and you can cheer when you strike somebody out. Okay. That was over the top last night, I thought, on his second home run. I don't know. I don't know if I could have held my emotions if I was a Phillies player. And maybe that's something they need to do. Maybe they need to show some more emotion or something. But I don't know if you guys were put off by it or not. Did you notice it at the game, Ray?
Oh, I noticed it. I just, hey, you hit a big home run in a big spot. Like,
okay,
you have your moment. And plus, that's him doing the
like
Euro
I said,
step is kind of his thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's literally, we've seen that.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I don't know. I'm not calling for anything, but I'm saying.
You're not saying.
I don't know. If I was one of the 9, I think I might have had a reaction just because emotions are running a little bit high. Bryce Harper, 1 for 25 in his last 6 games. I saw the replay. The guys this morning were talking about him not maybe running. I did see the replay of that play and the camera on him the whole time. It's like his first step, he seemed okay to me. It seemed like he ran hard to me. So I don't know.
Are you talking about in the 9th?
Yeah, the one that went off the first baseman. The
he ran pretty hard.
Yeah, I know the guys this morning were talking about it, so I don't know.
I'd have to watch it again, but
I had seen the replay, but I didn't see it on him. Then I saw the replay on ESPN that kept the camera on him.
Right.
I don't think he didn't bust it out of the box. I think he ran pretty hard there. I didn't have a complaint with that, but maybe those guys saw it a little differently.
Yeah.
Yankees have won 4 in a row. Okay, we're looking at this Yankees team. Oh my God, look how good they're. When they came in here,
they were scuffling.
They were 10-23 in their last 33 games. Why do I mention that? It's baseball. Like, it's not as easy as it's just baseball. Phillies have to fix some things. Individuals have to fix some things. But these types of things just happen in baseball. And you know what's funny, Aim? We talked about it before. We said, as high as you are right now in the Phillies, we're going to overlook things when things start to go a little bit bad. When they lose a game, we overlooked it, or overhyped it, I should say.
Yeah.
Maybe we're there a little bit now, but however you feel about the Phillies now, I am not going to tell you not to feel that way. I understand if you're ticked. I understand if you have concerns, maybe even worries. I'm not going to tell you not to. You know, everybody feels their own way. I'm not there yet, but yeah, there's absolutely some concerning things. Phillies last night against Will Warren, making his major league debut. He threw 97 pitches. They had 25 swings and misses. That's outrageous.
Yeah.
Over a quarter of their swings were swings and misses against the guy making his major league debut.
Of course.
Like that's not good. Some guys look lost at the plate. Trey Turner last night had a swing, had a pitch, in a key time that was 8 feet outside. So I don't know what's going on with everybody there, but as not that I've always said, as everybody says, stuff is contagious in baseball, and right now they have the flu, and I think the whole team is getting it. But today they go 12-30 against left-hander Nestor Cortes. He's 4-9 with a 4.13 ERA.
He's 0-6 on the road.
Oh, good stat by you,
Fun
Amy.
Fact.
Very good.
ERA is like 6 on the road, which means
he'll probably get 30 swings and misses on 97 pitches. Christopher Sanchez is on the mound for the Phillies. The Braves and the Mets both won last night. So the Braves are now 7.5 games out. The Mets are now 8 games out. Phillies are off tomorrow. Friday, they're at Seattle. They start a 3-game series in Seattle. Then they go right to L.A. to play the Dodgers for 3 games. Then they go right to Arizona to play the Diamondbacks for 4 games. So 10 straight games on the West Coast. That's what your Phillies have to go through coming up next. Anybody have their lineup up right now?
I know they're sitting Turner, Real Muto, Marsh, and Stott.
Yeah.
The lineup I got. You want it?
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you read the lineup for the people?
The lineup. For the folks, Schwarber leading off. Then you've got Austin Hayes, Bryce Harper, Alec Boehm. Nick Castellanos is 5th. Edmundo Sosa, shortstop. Then Weston Wilson is playing second base. Captain Vibes is the catcher. And Rojas is the center fielder. And, of course, Christopher Sanchez is pitching, but he is not that guy.
Yeah, so there
you go.
Makeshift lineup
today. A wonky
today.
lineup. You got Hayes in there. It's Turner. We can get more into him. I got some decent numbers.
No,
bad
they're
numbers.
really bad numbers.
That gives it a good example of like how he and Bryce Harper have been scuffling.
Yeah, it hasn't been very good at all.
No.
Your Philadelphia Eagles, well, the hitting happened yesterday, and there seemed to be kind of a star. I'm not marrying the hitting with a star, but there seemed to be a player that really stuck out yesterday, and that was rookie Quinyon Mitchell. A lot of people talking about how good he looked, so we'll get into Eagles talk a little bit later today. They have a walkthrough today?
Correct.
What are they walking through?
The motions. Because they have the open practice tomorrow. They walk through what that's going to look like.
Walk through what you're going to do. Okay.
Sure.
I mean, walkthroughs are usually before a game, but they're doing it before practice. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. On the Olympic front, yesterday was a fun day. A lot of fun. I had a lot of fun watching the Olympics in the afternoon. We had some results that we had here before we left, but got to watch them last night. Like the women's gymnastics, they get gold. They achieved that while we were here yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, it was on the way home that I saw it.
Yes, it was on the way home. It's like the first thing when I got into work or to NBC Sports Philadelphia, I was like, oh, right. I got to know what happened.
Because we watched some of it. It was on here.
We watched the first like 3 or 4 like rotations.
That's what it was. Yeah. So they win gold. Simone Biles is just
her floor routine was ridiculous.
The women's rugby 7.
Awesome.
Walk-off bronze medal against Australia. If you haven't seen it, I watched the whole match yesterday. Is it a match?
Yeah.
A match. Okay. I watched the whole match yesterday.
It
only takes like 20 minutes to play.
Yeah, how about who scored the try? Her name. Spiff. I thought that was it was like the best name ever. It was reminiscent. She took off and I was like, whoa.
For those of you who haven't seen it and you just want to see
you should watch it.
It's really reminiscent of of Deshaun Jackson punt return against the Giants. It's a miracle of the Meadowlands, over in Paris.
It's great.
It was crazy fun. I said yesterday I didn't know all the rules of rugby. I still don't, but I watched the whole thing. The greatest thing about it is it's 2 10-minute halves.
It's fast.
It was over in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's fast.
I loved it. So I watched all of that game yesterday. Pretty cool. Men's basketball, as Amy said, they have a 3 o'clock game today against South Sudan, who they were 43-point favorite against a week or so ago, but then they played them in an exhibition and barely won, so now they're only 29.5-point favorites. So
KD will play just fine.
They should be just fine,
and
absolutely.
I think the lock of the year is that Jason Tatum will get in this game.
Yeah, I think Steve Kerr will find him 10 minutes or so, yeah. Yeah, that was pretty funny, but it's different over it. I mean, you just look down the bench, you're like, yeah, I should play him, I should play him, I should play him, I should play him.
He gets 10 guys.
Everybody can play, but a lot of fun. Hopefully today for the USA basketball team. And what is the match tonight at the Lincoln Financial?
Some of the Premier League teams come over. They did this, I think it was last year, where Chelsea came over, Aston Villa.
That was the
Brighton.
3. There was 3 sporting events going on in the same day,
which was crazy.
Right?
Yes, we went to that as well. So my son Shawnee is he's a supporter of Liverpool, but regardless, he just thinks it's fun. We like to go to
sporting
different
events, sure.
Exactly, sporting events. So the Premier League teams come over, usually the bigger name ones like Manchester United, Man City, Aston Villa in this case, Liverpool, and Arsenal. They come over and they kind of have their preseason is basically what it is. Now, not all of their players are there. Some of them are in international play. Some of them are playing in the Olympics. Some of them are doing different things. But they'll have their biggest player, I think, for Liverpool that'll be here is Mo Salah. But the other guys, I think, are doing other international plays. So it's like their warm-up. And It's a chance for a lot of the American fans. So they usually do it in big cities. Philadelphia, Chicago, New York, L.A., things like that. Atlanta,
and it'll probably be a sellout, I would imagine,
I believe it's,
right?
yeah. The Phillies, since we have Phillies tickets, they sent out an email saying, just an FYI.
Transportation.
Yeah, you might want to, your egress from the stadium might be a little bit jammed up because I think they're expecting 66,000 at the Liverpool Arsenal friendly. And then, of course, it's a sold-out 44,000 at Citizens Bank Park. Well, we've all been to the ballpark. There's a lot more than 44,000 that fit in that thing.
Yeah. So busy day on the sports world front here in Philadelphia. Can't wait for it all. And Amy, that's cool that you're going to be down there for a lot of it. So let's get into it now. I mean, last night I'm watching that game. You're up 4-1. You're thinking, okay, cool. You just need a win. You need just give me 7 innings.
How did you feel
last night?
Okay, I
did.
Sure.
I felt okay when it was 4-1.
Okay.
Now, odd. What the heck was it? I had to do something. I don't know if it was put out the dog or something like that. I'd go downstairs first. Oh, no. not that it matters. I had to rotate the watch. I don't know why I'm stuck on that. My wife asked me to rotate the watch. I come back upstairs. Boom, it's 4-2. And I'm like, son of a gun.
Biscuit.
They gave up another, a run. And I was like, all right, solo home run. Don't let anything more. Then in the 7th inning, he gets to where he gets. And it's like a little bit of trouble. But Alvarado comes in and does well.
6th, he came in.
In the 6th, I'm sorry. Alvarado comes in and does well.
Which actually was a nice surprise.
Very nice surprise. Good job. Yeah, and I'm thinking, okay, let's get out of here with a win. And then stuff starts to happen. But they get into the 9th and they score that run. I'm thinking, okay, in order to break out of this stuff, sometimes weird stuff happens, right? We've seen teams so many times that they're slumping or they're not playing their best, and something strange happens, and all of a sudden they turn it around. So I was like, oh, a pass ball, score a run in the 9th? How much more strange can it get?
Until you saw the boot.
So maybe this is it.
That's what honestly, I'm with you. When wonky things go your team's way, you think, okay, they're going to win this game. Not that the pass ball's wonky, but something that's, a little
different.
out of the norm. Exactly.
Sure. So I thought maybe, just maybe, this is it. And then you get a diving catch by the Yankees. And then, the Phillies don't capitalize on other things. And then Bryce Harper hits a ground ball, not in order, but Bryce Harper hits a ground ball that goes off the first baseman, second baseman throws out to the pitcher.
When he caught that ball, I was like, of course he did. Of course he did.
It's just what it is right now, right?
Of course. They giveth and taketh.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's not easy. I equate it to this, and I remember talking to players about this. The mental aspect of the game is real. And I remember when the Sixers had a string going of where they were playing spectacular basketball at home, couldn't win on the road.
Bizarro world. You're exactly right.
Had somebody tell me off the record, I'll tell you what it is. When we're on the road, in our minds, we're thinking, how are we going to lose this game? When we're home, we're thinking, how are we going to win this game?
Interesting.
It is, right? It is. I think that's in the Phillies' mind right now.
What's going to go wrong today?
Hopefully we're going to win, but in the back of my mind, how are we going to lose this game?
I feel like half the fans in that stadium are sitting there, how are we going to lose this one today?
Yeah.
I feel like that's the mindset, certainly, of when the Phillies, not this year as much, and maybe now it's creeping in, but there's definitely been seasons in the past where you would sit at those, or you would watch the Phillies game and thought, well, what interesting way will we lose this one? And there's definitely seasons where the Sixers, you were like, hey, you're up. What creative way will we find to lose this one?
Yeah.
So I can see that. I just assumed that was like a fan thing of when I'm watching, I'm like, hey, this will be fun. How are they going to disappoint me today?
No, it's a real thing.
Teams.
Yeah, it's a real thing. And that's a horrible mindset to have.
It's tough.
And this player that I talked to knew it too. He said, I believe me, I don't want to have it, but we're up 10 in the third quarter, and I'm thinking, all right, how are we going to blow this lead? And that's hard. It is. But look, it's human nature.
Then it's all going to spiral in you. And I do think that we talked about that yesterday. I think there is an aspect, because you brought up, when B. West said it, and I think Larry Boa kind of mentioned it too, you have a chip on your shoulder from last year, so you're clearly thinking about it. And if something goes wrong, is it then those thoughts kind of come up?
Right.
And I thought, maybe not necessarily that Diamondback series, but and Trey Turner said it after last night's game. He's gone through slumps before. All these guys have gone through that. How do those not then kind of rear their ugly head? That's human nature. Of course it does. When you're skidding, you're going to think back to the last time you're skidding. Hopefully to think about how you got out of it. But you know what I mean? It's still going to affect you mentally.
Sure, it has to. We make players, I say this often, we make players so robotic in our minds. Go out there and play. Come on, go out there, see ball, hit ball, shoot ball, make basket. We do. We look at players as robotic, and we don't think about it. I said yesterday, and I still think it. Look, Bryce Harper's going through a real tough time at the plate. He just hasn't looked right to me lately. Look, I'm not, and this was before the 1 for 25. That's just 6 games. I brought this up 2 weeks ago. I think I said to you, I don't know. There's just something about him that doesn't seem right to me. It was almost a part he's not having fun. Now, it's easy not to have fun when you're 1 for 25. But this was before that. I don't know if there's something a little off with him. I don't know if there's maybe something he's dealing with injury-wise that doesn't feel right. I don't know. But, maybe a couple home runs today will make him feel a lot better.
He doesn't even have a hit against the Yankees.
No, and so odd to watch him come up in key situations and not come through. It's just not who he is. Does it concern you that they're all going through this at the same time?
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
or is it a case of but then when they write themselves, they'll all be
then they'll all
be righted at the same time.
Half the people are getting a day off today. Yeah, no, there's definitely a concern on that front when everything seems to be going wrong. The starting pitching was okay. Nola was okay last night. He pitched well enough, certainly, for them to win. When you leave the game with the lead,
right?
Did he pitch great? No, but also now it used to be a two-headed monster for the Yankees. Now it's a three-headed. Jazz Chisholm has done something that literally no one has ever done before. In the history of baseball, he's had 2 multi-hit games in the first 3 games of a team. Like that's just no one's ever done that. It's just preposterous. And now they have that. So like I thought limiting them to just those couple of runs when Nola left, I thought, oh well, they're giving themselves a chance. And then of course we all know what happened. But yeah, it's always tough when everything starts to snowball together.
All right, tell me I'm wrong. Be my teammates. All right, I want you 2 to be my teammates right now.
We are your teammates.
All right, fictitiously in a baseball sense, we're on the same team. I'm gonna hit Chisholm today. He's gonna wear one in the back.
Yes.
You're okay with it?
Absolutely.
All right, Ray?
Please do not.
Why? I mean, I bring in Alvarado can come in and do it.
I'm really not being a tough. I'm not. This team needs something. And I'm not, I'm
not saying he needs to wear one from the home runs. I think he just needs to wear one.
Nah. You know what really shows a team that's going to figure it out? Going out there and figuring it out, winning. Like, I'm sorry. Chisholm wears one, he gets on first, takes second, and then a base hit brings him in, and then all of a sudden we're losing again. It's like, oh, wow.
Well, the back part of the lineup with him isn't as dangerous. I don't hit Soto or Judge because Chisholm's behind him.
Right, but I mean, just the opposite. You're putting someone on base.
Listen, the walk rate they've had in the first 2 games doesn't matter. They walked Soto twice and Judge twice yesterday. Like, talk about coming back to haunt you.
All right, I asked you guys honestly, and if you would have both said no, I wouldn't have done it. But you went 50-50 on me. Yeah, I'm doing it. I am. This team needs a stirring. This team needs something. I'm not provoking
ever said that.
Asking for fights or anything like that. Baseball's baseball.
Maybe just
sometimes
brush him back, Ray. Maybe just brush him back.
Just get him out. Go after him.
You're not going to get. What was it? I think Alvarado got him out.
That's not going to pump up the team. I think a little stirring needs to be done.
Well, maybe if one of the top 3 hitters hit, that might pump up the team.
Well, a couple of them aren't even in the lineup, so it's going to be impossible.
2 of the top 3 then.
Yeah, 2 of the top 3.
All right, when we get back, we're going to dive a little deeper. Amy has some numbers on Bryce Harper that are absolutely, I think, disgusting. But she's going to give them to us anyway. Also, we'll look at what the Eagles happened. What happened with the Eagles yesterday on the field, because a lot of stuff came out from there. Jeff Mosher is going to be joining us from Inside the Birds at 1 o'clock to let us know his thoughts so far on a full week of training camp as the team goes through a walkthrough today. We appreciate you being with us. Amy Fadul with us all day today. Ray Dunn producing. I'm Bob Cooney. This is Middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back. Happy Wednesday. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Made it to work safely. I heard somebody say, it might have been Haley earlier, that it's supposed to clear up today. Aim?
Yeah, I think so.
Talk to me, Aim. What do you got?
What do you got? I think I did. You know, the good news is Ray doesn't need to know because we're just going to tell him in a minute. But I did see that it's going to clear up, I think, around like 2 o'clock or so. I don't know. In the afternoon, I thought people were looking to see where their tickets were. We have some friends that are going, and they were seeing where the sun might be, you know, because it's a 12:30 first pitch, where the sun might be going by the time, you know, the game ends and later. See if they're going to be roasting out there. But I thought, I think it is going to clear up by about like 1 or 2.
So we're trying to plan a game to take the kids to, right?
Yeah.
So just to, a get together so we can do that. And one of the days that my wife sent me about going, I'm watching the game yesterday, and they said, and on, I forget the date, August 14th, when the Phillies play the Astros, after the game, if you're 50 or older, you can come on the field.
Seniors stroll the bases.
Not run the bases. It was like stroll the bases.
It is. Seniors stroll the bases.
So I was like,
it's
hey,
the opposite
Donna,
of what we're doing
do.
today.
Not me. Look what you can do. Yeah.
Here's what
I was laughing at that. Like, oh, my God.
Yeah, they do have the seniors stroll the base. I appreciate that. Like, so obviously today is the second.
Isn't that what malls are for?
That's what your white New Balances are for, and that's what your malls are for.
Yeah, your jeans with the bell bottoms or boot bottoms.
The mom jeans. Yeah, we're looking for pleats usually with the mom.
Is that what it is? And the stretchies?
Yes.
Don't they
like
automatically
stretch?
Yeah, the elastic situation. Yeah.
Anything that we can do to help with like the putting
older.
on it. Exactly.
Yeah, help those elderly people.
I am not averse. I am at the point where I don't even untie my shoelaces anymore. My shoes are just on and off. Like I would be. Oh.
How do you put them on? Do you have to untie them and then?
No.
Wait.
They're just. I just keep them like that, and I go in and out.
Really? That ruins the back of them, though.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, okay. Well, you're special.
Well, yeah. They also have those shoes now, the slip-on. I
have a pair of them.
Yeah. If it was socially acceptable for me to wear Velcro shoes, I would absolutely wear Velcro shoes.
Someone among the bar crew needs a pair of Velcro shoes.
Not going to. You can't make me.
Always.
Actually, you've been all right lately. It's been about a 3
You spend way too much time looking at my feet.
Yeah, well, you should get those ones that like already have it tied. Do you know what I mean? The laces that are just stretchy.
Yeah. Or,
Or just keep your shoes untied.
Or just tie them tighter so they don't become untied.
Again, you spend way too much time looking at my feet.
I'm sorry. It's not looking at your feet. Amy, if someone walks in and their shoes untied, do you not notice?
Absolutely.
I mean, and it's almost every day with Ray. His shoe is untied.
It's also, I think, a parent thing because we're used to seeing it, and then we just want to go down and tie that shoe.
I don't have that urge, but I do. I do feel him every time it's untied.
I've not seen it, but I have not. If I would be like, can you just kind of tie your shoe?
See, that's the coolness of Ray, though. Part of it, Ray, I'll tell you, is jealousy. It's jealousy that, you just get up, you put your shoe on, you look down, it's untied, and you're like, I don't give a rat's ass. Like, I don't care. And
so many things in life to worry about. Whether or not my shoes are tied or not high on the list.
I love it. I absolutely love it. But you wouldn't have to. It wouldn't have to be on your list if you just tied them right the first time. That's just my point.
Or I did.
Or you had Velcro.
I'm just saying.
Nah, I'm good. Thanks, though.
Speaking of problems, I think the Phillies have many of them. Now, before I get to Dom here, I heard the morning show talking about it today, and one of Andrew's. And we're going to get into this, what needs to turn around immediately to you guys, or who needs to turn around immediately. And I couldn't believe how much I was disagreeing with Andrew this morning. And he's staying with the theme that he had. And I don't do the pick-on show type of thing. It's just an observation that he had that I wanted to see about you guys. His thing was that he doesn't agree with Johan Rojas in center field. And you need a real center fielder. You can't just, have a guy that you're expecting to hit 230 and that's okay with you and all that. I got to say, that's the least of my worries.
Low on my concern. I get that.
I'm not playing. If you asked me to list 10 things, I don't know if Johan Rojas would make it.
Not right now.
Yeah.
When things were going really well, he might have, because there wasn't 10 things when things were going well. So he might have been on that list. Further back.
Yeah.
I just thought, even when they first started kind of like scuffling a little bit, I thought, it'd be nice to have maybe not a complete black hole in center field as far as an offense. But as far as like the things that I'm thinking about, like, wow, what's going to really turn this team over? I don't think I don't think Rojas is it. It's not to say that if you had a different guy and Luis Robert was out there or something like that, that it wouldn't help more. But that's not on the list of like immediate need for me.
And look, I always question myself. I say this to you guys all the time. I do have my feelings and thoughts and all that. But sometimes I say, hey, should I look at this differently? Should I think differently? When Andrew brought it up, a guy whose baseball opinion I greatly respect, I was kind of shaking my head on the ride into work today. Ray, is that part of yours? Is that something that maybe not at the top of your list, but near the top?
So I started listing off things that are concerning me right now, and not necessarily concerning me, things I need to change and get better. I went to the hitting of Harper, Turner, JT, Stott, obviously. I could throw Schwarber in there. He did have 2 home runs on Sunday. Should have been enough for you if someone else stepped up. Alvarado getting right would be a big one for me. Suarez's health. I guess going hand in hand with that, the fact that Allard's starting probably every 5th day. That's another one that's got me a little,
Yeah, your first 2 games out in Seattle are going to be Allard and Phillips. And Phillips has been great, but still, we're talking about a guy,
Yeah, so that, I'm trying to run down the list of other concerns in my head. I mean,
Trey Turner defense up there at all?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
I don't know why. For some reason, his defense doesn't get to me because I think his really good plays, he makes some like really good plays.
Yeah.
I think they even out with the boneheaded, like, really, you threw that one in the dirt on an, like.
I don't think it's not, eventually they're going to flip-flop he and Stott, I think.
Yeah, if they have enough confidence to keep Stott in the lineup.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't think Rojas right now cracks, maybe he's the edge of my top 10 and I don't want to call them concerns, but things I need to change and things I need to be better, like Harper, Turner, JT, the help of Suarez, Alvarado getting himself right, Stott starting to hit ever. Them having 5 starting pitchers go out there every turn.
Could you
I
imagine 2 weeks ago us having us predicting we're going to have this conversation?
Yeah, Rojas feels like a luxury problem. You're not in luxury problem time right now. You're in actual problem time.
Yeah, not desperation mode, but you're in. Yeah, it's a concerning time for sure. I found that like, wow, of all the things, that's kind of surprising to me that he had that. But Tasty Cake Dom, he has a feeling. So before we get to Dom, that's the question we're throwing out there to you right now. What is it that has to be fixed with this Phillies team? Now, a lot of people are going, oh, well, they should have done more at the trade deadline. I don't know. They did what you asked for. Like, we had asked
2
for
relievers and a right-handed bat.
And you didn't give up any prospects. So, I'm sorry. I think they did what they were supposed to do.
Well, you gave up prospects for...
Well, but I mean your main prospect, the main
the big
prospects.
ones. Absolutely.
Yeah, you got to say all them. I'm sorry,
exactly.
So I think you kind of did what you had to do. But what is the thing that you need for the Phillies to do that will convince you, it's okay. Once this happens, everything will be all right. Try to be specific. 610-632-0975. Dom, Tasty Cake Dom. What's going on, buddy? How you doing today?
Hey, Bob.
How you doing,
Hi,
pal?
Amy. Hey,
Hi,
Ray.
Dom.
Bob, I wanted to talk to you about how bad the Phillies stink in extra inning games and how agonizing it is to watch that guy stay on second base and they can't move him to third. But I almost never, ever, ever disagree with you. And I disagree with you more than I have since I ever listened to you before. Because, Bob, when Dombrowski constructs a starting rotation where half your rotation lives and dies by the ground ball, you can't have a butcher at shortstop like that. He's killing you.
Is he killing you? Like, Dom, I see it. I see the errors.
Let's look at the Guardian series, Bob. They scored that first run because Turner can't field the ground ball, and then the rundown was ridiculous. But he shouldn't even been on first.
To me, that was Harper's fault. If he just throws the ball to Stott, it's not even a conversation.
But he got the first base on a fielding error by Turner. Now and on Sunday, Bob, that 3-run homer is not a 3-run homer if Turner can field a simple ground ball. The guy that got on base before him was on base on an error by Turner.
Yeah, I just okay. It's hitting you more than it hits me, Dom.
Yeah.
I know
his bat is killing them right now. That's what. If I have concerns about trade, his errors or whatever miscues will probably even out. I think obviously the back of his bubblegum guards tries to say that his batting's going to even, but he is really, really tough.
Seriously, you don't pick up pen and paper to that? What did you say? The back of his bubblegum card?
Bubblegum.
I don't know. If that was me, pen and paper would have been up 1042.
All right, we'll check it out.
Whatever.
We'll go to the review later.
Or his bubblegum.
They just haven't. Look, Dom, I'm not. That's fine. You disagree with me. I don't. That's great.
Yeah.
That's why we're here. I love talking sports. To me, it has. Now, Dom makes great points. But they just don't stick out all that much to me.
The thing, it's like when things are going bad, things are hyper focused, right? So one or two errors are going to seem like, oh my gosh, he's playing terrible defense. I get that. I think with Turner, when he's been struggling at the plate like he has since the All-Star break, when he came back, he looked like he picked up right where he left off. I remember we were having these conversations like, look at this. He's still, batting like well over 300. This is incredible. Good for him. And then since the All-Star break, he and Harper have really hit the skids. The numbers are pretty atrocious. And so you're looking at everything. Like things are just really becoming a little bit more amplified.
Sure.
So bad plays are looking even worse than I think they are.
And we'll get Trey Turner numbers because I know you have some when we get back. You said Andrew's checking in?
Yeah, he wanted to check in about the Rojas.
What'd he say?
Conversation. He was saying it was in response to what they did and didn't do at the deadline. He's won a different center fielder since spring training.
Yeah.
He just wanted a different guy.
So I think he's just upset that they didn't address what he wanted them to.
Yeah, look, if this lineup's performing the way it's performing, it almost wants me to have a terrific fielding center fielder and not someone whose bat I even need. Yeah, but I understand what he's saying. All right, listen, if you're on the line, hold on. We'll get back to you as soon as we get back because there's a lot of Phillies talk that wants to happen today. But we're also going to take a look into what happened with the Eagles on the field yesterday. Those what were those things on their shoulders? Pads, that's right. They had pads on yesterday, so there was some live hitting going on. We'll check all that out when we get back. Amy Fadul here with us today. Ray Dunn producing. I'm Bob Cooney. This is Middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. There's a lot of stuff going on about this Philly skid, but is it's not time for a song to come back, is it?
Oh, I saw that he posted. Someone posted, like, in case of emergency, break glass. And then I follow Callum Scott, and he said, well, I'm standing by. And I think the replies were like, no.
Yeah.
But that was something they used last year. They had tried to change the vibes, and I think they had gone with a different song. For myself. Okay. I have to say.
Now, Ray is first song, but he's anti-hit somebody to get your team started.
One of them puts a guy on base that can steal a base. The other is just a harmless song that the guys can vibe to together.
Like, it just takes me right back to 2022 of, like, walking out that ballpark and just, like, riding the high.
I don't know. Look, if it brings good things back, maybe you go to it. I don't know. Are you at that point?
Have we confirmed that they have? Well, yeah, I guess we would have confirmed because they would have been. Well, we don't know because they have not won, so they have not been able to play it in the clubhouse. I don't even know if he's still is he still DJing? They're not DJing during this stretch. Maybe he needs to DJ.
It better be like the scene in Moneyball where he comes in and hits the speaker. This is what losing sounds like.
Exactly. Garrett Stubbs just comes through.
Well, yeah, Stubbs dancing on the table. Get down on the table.
Chief Fives officer is in the lineup today, so we'll see.
Oh boy, Chris in Delaware. He's got a memory about this. Chris, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Chris?
Hi, Chris.
Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Chris? Oh, well. Sorry, Chris.
Sorry, Chris.
Let's go to Brian in Malvern. Brian, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, Bob. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for making it.
You got it. A few things. One, Amy, welcome. You're a fresh voice to the station relatively, and it's fun listening to you.
Thank you, Brian.
As a mom and with kids in sports, things are so different this day. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Bob,
Thank you.
My Phillies point, and I'm in the camp of things will be okay. They're going to make the playoffs, all that. But, base running, the pickoffs, that stuff has to stop. I don't want to get into the whole Bryce didn't make it out of the batter's box last night, like they were talking about this morning, but just in general, Bob, like base running, a fundamental.
Yeah, my only counter to that, Bri, would be look at all the good base running, the aggressive base running that does happen. You have to look at both, right? So there's a lot of time they take extra bases, they score whatever. Yes, there are other times that they get thrown out and they get picked off. Is there a balance there? I kind of think there might be.
There has to be a balance, and I don't want to kill aggressiveness. You can't teach that, Bob, as a coach. I want the guys to be that way.
Good point.
I'm talking about more they lean too far. They didn't take a secondary lead, like basic fundamentals like that.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely fun. Brian, thanks so much for the call. Really appreciate it.
That's
again,
like
the base running thing is, like, John and I used to get into it, and I understood. Like, he would get very upset at the pickoffs, at getting thrown out at third with one. I understood that. Like, I did. But my point to him was, yeah, but you can be told not to do that. Like, take shorter leads on first, don't get picked off. Yeah. I wonder if Rob Thompson's like, hey, let's be aggressive. Those things, yeah, they're going to look bad once in a while. But we're also going to score maybe more times from second on a single.
And if something comes through, then you can kind of snowball things in a good way.
Yeah, that's something that hasn't really stuck out to me, Amy, either. Maybe I don't watch closely.
But I think it's just one of those things when things are going wrong, you're trying to look for things to try to, like, help right the ship. So you're batting terrible, right? We've all seen it. Pitching has been suspect at times. Bullpen has had their issues. We saw with Strom last night. So if you can get one of those kind of quirky things going your way or just kind of create it, then I think that's good. But that makes people look at when they're trying to do those things and they don't go their way. It's like, oh, well, don't add on to it. You're already struggling here, and here. Don't make this mistake now.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's becoming a little bit more glaring in people's minds.
And this is the ultimate fight your way through it time.
Oh, yeah.
And that's hard to do. Look, I'm 1 for 24 and I hit a ground ball. Now, I thought he ran last night on the ninth inning play, Bryce Harper.
I'll have to watch it again.
Yeah, we'll look at it during the break. But whatever. But it is a time where you do have to pick it up. You do have to hit a pop-up in the infield and say, you know what? I don't care. I'm running my ass off to second base. Something has to change. And, maybe that's the way you go about it. Chris in Delaware's calling back. Chris, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, you guys were talking about senior stroll of bases a little while ago. Well, I've done that with my kids, and it's fine. But I turned 55 a couple years ago, and I wanted to do the senior. They want you to line up at the foul pole.
Yeah.
In the top of the 8th inning. It was a tight game, and I did not want to do that. I wanted to watch the game. So by the time the game ended, the line was from foul pole to foul pole in the concourse. So I just bailed.
Yeah, that's the same for the kids. The kids, you have to line up starting then, too. Most of the people just...
Yeah, but
it's good stroll knowledge from you, Chris.
Right? If you're willing to do that for your kids, but I wanted to watch the game.
You're not willing to do it for yourself, though, and I appreciate that, Chris. I recognize that. I would be the same way. I would take a look at the line and be like, nope, I will walk those bases later.
Do either of you guys, of course you remember the 93 Phillies, they got off to the same kind of start, they got off to a big lead, and they hit the same swoon in the summertime. But the only difference then was that they had teams, coming up on them, the Expos and the Cardinals, and they got hot again and they ran away with it.
It's funny you mentioned that. That's exactly what Ruben Amaro Jr. said at work the other day, too.
But there seems to be such a difference between these two teams. That team was offensively fundamentally sound and defensively sound. This team seems to have the same problems that ended their season the last 2 years in the postseason. I mean, they're not fundamentally sound offensively. It seems like they all want to hit a 3-run home run when they need to tack on a 1 or 2, and then now it's just snowballed on them and they can't find a way out of it. I'm sure they will, but I mean, these problems just don't disappear.
No, thanks, Chris. Appreciate the call. I'm starting to get the feeling. Are we starting to snowball a little bit? Are we starting to get a little too crazy about this? Like now all of a sudden the team fundamentally doesn't know how to do things. And, I don't know, but it's a great conversation to be had today, and we're all about it. 610-632-0975. A lot of feelings with these Phillies. Let us know what they are. 610-632-0975. This is Middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. Hey, that 10 o'clock hour was brought to you by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows. Plus, make no down payment with no payments and no interest for 12 full months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. Yep, so there you have it. Lots to talk about. The Phillies say, what bothers you most? What is it? What can you put your... I'm having a tough time putting
defensive play of the short. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and we have people making great points, like Dom saying he disagreed with me about Trey Turner. Me saying like his defense hasn't really ever bothered me, and then he brought up some great points. He said, "Bob, I totally disagree with you. He had an error here. He should have had a ball there. It led to runs, and great. I mean, you're all right. I understand. Like, I don't know exactly what it is because it seems to be an everything thing with me. Aim. They're not playing good baseball. They're not pitching well." They're not relieving well. They're not hitting well. They're not playing defense well.
Other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
Yeah, exactly. 20-22 over the last 42 games. Not good. Do I lean towards this team as more of what they were before these last 42 games? Or do I lean towards, okay, maybe they just did get off to a phenomenal start and they are a mediocre team. Maybe all of what happened in the playoffs last year and the year before with bats going silent, maybe that was the unsolved problem that they have. I had no problem with them running it back. I think it's a really good baseball team. No problem at all with them running it back. I don't
think they're a mediocre team, and it was fool's gold by any stretch. I get that it was like a hot start, and you're looking like, oh my gosh, is this team really going to finish with like, a 700 winning percent? You know what I mean? Like, no. But I feel like they are closer to what they were than what they are right now. If that makes sense. I think they're closer to the winning program that they had kind of set forth, like that table of we expect to be in games, we expect to win games because we are. We're winning series, we're winning games, we're going on these runs, winning 7 of 8, 9 of 11, things like that. That's a little bit more like it of what I think this team, because I think when they do go on a run, when they get out of it, maybe it's just going to be August 1st and Seattle's going to solve everything. Of course, the first 2 starts out in Seattle are going to be pretty tough. They have a very good pitching staff out there, but I feel like sometimes maybe getting away. They were so excited to get back home after the All-Star break. That's all they talked about, and then they come back home and it's like, okay, you drop all those series like right after.
Go away again.
Like, okay, maybe just need to collect everything, take a breather, and get back together. But since the All-Star break, Trey Turner, he's had 52 plate appearances, 8 hits. 8 hits, batting 167 with 13 strikeouts. Bryce Harper, 49 plate appearances in the 11 games since the All-Star break, batting 128 with just 6 hits and 9 strikeouts.
Ooh, not good numbers there.
6 hits.
Yeah. No, it's not good.
In 11 games.
Everything is exemplified when things are going bad, right?
Right. And that's what I think when people are talking about like the errors or even play out in center field, you're looking for other things because if those things could go better, maybe then they could lead to other things going better.
Right. But there is some small things. Swinging at a first pitch when a guy just walked to load the bases like Trey Turner did the other night.
They did it last night.
Yeah, right. Last night also. Last night you have a guy on second. I mean, can you
bunt him over?
Yeah, or can Bohm maybe look to take the ball to right field instead of pulling it down to third base? Trey Turner, if there's a guy on base, it's almost an automatic double play right now because he's hitting ground balls to short all day long. Could have been another one the other night if a guy didn't bobble it at second base.
Correct.
It's just so many things going wrong. So, like, I kind of look at it and I say, when they were the first team to 60 wins, when they were winning at an unbelievable rate, is that more uncommon than what's going on here? Or are they both kind of the same?
I think they're both. I see what you're saying. Like,
yeah.
Was that like, wow, my gosh, look at this. Like, is this something we should expect?
Realistic?
Yeah. Or is this snowballing effect of like, okay, when things have gone bad, they've all gone bad. The bats have gone cold. The pitching has been suspect at times. The defense has not been great. Situational hitting has been non-existent. You're looking at how many players they left on base. The runners were scoring position, though wasn't terrible yesterday. They left a lot on base, and it has been terrible in this, certainly since the All-Star break, but even really before. I feel like they're both kind of like quirks of a baseball season, but I think if you had to lean towards one being more like, wow, that's what the hot start is not something you usually expect. I feel like and we talked about it yesterday a little bit, and Ray brought it up on Monday. You mentioned the Yankees had come in skidding. This is a team that's had several of these skids, like these 3 for 10.
Yeah, they were 10 and 23 in their last 33 games.
Like that's
horrible.
They've had a couple of those. They had one in June and then one in July.
Exactly.
So they have 2 separate skids like we're seeing now. But since the Phillies started with this incredible, hey, the first team to win 50 games, the first team to the first 10-game winner, all these other things, you have to remember there's some pitching that's on the IL. There's guys that are working back from injuries, and so that coupled with all of these miscues, it's just glaring at us in the face. So we don't have a good feeling when they take the field, or when it got 4-2. That's when I thought no. But I thought for sure when Rojas came in to tie it up in the 9th, I thought, okay, they'll go extra. They're going to win this game.
So did I.
Because I thought when you have things like that and that's what I think when people are calling in and talking about some of these, they seem nitpicky, but they're really not, because if an error this way, an error that way on a game that's decided by 1 run, turn the tables for you.
Right.
And it changes the complexion of the game if it happens early enough. So I totally get it. I think it is, what we talked about earlier, not red flags, but I can see the red flags over there.
Yeah, you see it.
I see the red flags. I'm not holding them.
No, you moved a little closer to it.
I see them.
Yeah.
They were in the
garage before, but now you're outside, but now the garage is open and the red flags are there.
I can see them over there.
You're moving a little bit. You're inching closer.
Yeah, if I need them.
All right, I think a lot of people are kind of struggling with their feel. I understand if you're totally ticked off and all that, but you still have to realize the Phillies right now are not the best team in baseball. They have the best record in baseball, but they certainly aren't playing as the best team in baseball. I want to read you a text that I got from a friend, and I really want you to think how this makes you feel, because I think it'll make you, maybe all of us, understand where we are with this Phillies team right now. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it was pretty long, but it's baseball is numbers and percentages. Phillies were not going to win 108 games. Most real good teams win between 94 and 100. I expect them to still do that. Turner wasn't going to hit 350 this year. Harper most likely wasn't going to win MVP. Fact is, he still needs to improve at first base. The all-star bullpen was bound to hit a slump. They let a few games slip away with defensive blunders last year. You got to win those games in extra innings at home. But then again, baseball is a game of numbers. No team is going to go a whole season without being swept. That's why they probably will lose today. It's just part of the season. When you hear something like that, I'll ask the two of you. Ray, I'll start with you. Do you roll your eyes and say, yeah, whatever? Or are you more in agreement of, yeah, that's right, it is baseball. Yeah, that's what it is.
The only thing that I'm trying to reconcile in my head is letting go of the dream of breaking the franchise record in wins. When I hear that 94 to 100, I had my eyes set on that best summer I've ever experienced in baseball, and right now they just need some wins so we can get back to that. But I'm not rolling my eyes at it, because this is kind of the sport. I think when you start asking, what is this team compared to the first 1 to 60 wins versus where they are right now, a lot of teams, I would argue every team in baseball has one of these stretches in them.
Yeah.
Not many have the stretch that you had at the beginning of the season for as long as you sustained it at the beginning of the season in them. That's why I see this team as closer to that team, because they've shown you they can do that, where other groups just don't have that capability.
Aim, where are you on it?
Yeah.
When you hear something like that logically lays it out.
Logically, and I appreciate the logic, because we need it right now. Last night was the first night I thought, this is not going well. I mean, and I've thought that I'm not to say that I haven't thought it's not going well, but that's when it started to creep into me, and I thought, is it turning on me? Is this season going to turn on me? That's the first time I thought that.
Wow.
I didn't dive into it. I took that feeling and I pushed it aside, but I had that feeling when they lost that game. Not during it, because I thought they were going to win the game up until the very, very, very end. But I don't know. So the logic of it, and when I have feelings of don't do this, just try to stay onto the positive. I look for the positives, and I thought, all right, there were some positives with some members of the relieving core. That was good. Estevez, 1, 2, 3. I took a positive from that, and then I thought,
big guy.
Yeah, he is a big guy. So I was just trying to think, but I think this is definitely a baseball thing. There's just too many examples across all of baseball of good teams going on these skids, whether it's because of injury, whether it's because of it's a snowball thing, because people are pressing, because we talked about it on, I think it was yesterday or Monday. It was, when I think about baseball, it's so different from something spiraling in basketball or football or anything else, because the games are so close together.
Yeah.
You have 12 games in a row. You have 15 games in a row, 16, whatever it is. And they can tendency to snowball because they're so back-to-back. There's no separation.
Exactly.
Like it doesn't matter that you're playing the Yankees and you're just playing the Guardians. You're playing another game in the same uniform, at the same field and everything, and you're going out and playing the same position. How can it not kind of like spiral and continue on?
Exactly. I totally agree with that. That's why I think things being contagious in baseball are more so than any other sport, because it's right there for you.
One after another after another.
I mean, it's right there for you. Yeah. Cousin Ryan on the cells checking in today. Cousin Ryan, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, Bob, what's going on?
Not much. How about you?
Just another day in the life.
Attaboy.
So every good team goes through this. Every bad team can go through this, whatever. But, what happens with this skid that we're on? Does it end naturally with us coming back and winning some games in a good fashion? Or do tensions boil over and frustrations snap? And way back in the day, Harper and Papelbon went at each other physically in the dugout in August. So is this long season going to end up with frustrations boiling over at some point?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, this has been labeled as a really close-knit, calm, we know Rob Thompson, follow his lead type of team.
Jonathan Papelbon is not in that clubhouse.
Yeah, I was going to say, there is. That
do you
doesn't
know who
appear
Jonathan
to be.
Papelbon says is one of his favorite teammates of all time? Bryce Harper.
No, I do not.
Bryce Harper. He says Bryce Harper, if you, funnily enough.
He was nicknamed the DC Strangler by Jason Worth, right?
He is an absolute crazy person, and I can say that from firsthand knowledge of covering him. That guy is a lunatic. That's why most closers are. Crazy people.
Yeah, I think
not stranglers.
A good team like this, Ryan, thanks for the call. I think a good team like this, you just start to play, hopefully fundamental baseball game.
Yeah.
Look, baseball, it's funny. We have a promotion running right now. Okay, and it's like they'll grab the hosts and say like Bob Cooney has a lot to say, and on the promotion that we're running now, it's me talking last week saying, look, or 2 weeks ago, this team is made up of really good personalities and really good baseball players, and right now they're the best team in baseball.
Right.
Like we have talked about it in the moment. We weren't, it's why I kind of argued a little bit, like saying, how can you call this the best season of sports you've ever seen in your life when it was only halfway through? Remember, we had that conversation we were talking about, with the other guys around here. Like, there's still too much to play. And, you have to live in the moment of what it is. That's why right now I don't want to get carried away with the badness. As in before, as much as we loved the goodness, you couldn't get carried away with it. Because, like my buddy said to me, they weren't going to win 105 games. No. That's why it's never happened in this. I don't know, Ray, you're keeping you're flatlining it. But I can see the redness getting ready to come into your face. Is that right how to describe your feeling over this?
I was in the sun for a while yesterday. I mean, I'm getting annoyed. I can't tell you I'm sitting there loving every pitch of what I'm watching. It's frustrating. But understanding the bigger goal of this whole thing, and part of the retorts we got when they were good, and we were talking about just how dominant this team is. People get to the point of, oh yeah, but they got to go do it in October. They got to, this doesn't mean much if they don't. That's always been there. I try and enjoy it in the moment, and enjoy what I'm watching, and I also realize when they're going through tough stretches, this is a team that's going to be in the postseason that has the ceiling of what we've seen the last couple of years, that they can go compete and win a World Series. That's what I keep coming back to, and that's what I made the joke a couple weeks ago talking about when something goes wrong in my day. I just keep telling myself, Paul George is a 76er. Paul George is a 76er. For the Phillies, things go poorly, and I get angry in the moment, and I bring myself back with this team is still going to compete for a World Series. This team is still a postseason team that has as high a ceiling as anyone. And I think that's where I keep coming back to with this group. It's not fun to watch in the moment. I'm not telling you that you should have enjoyed the last 2 weeks. The one thing I will push back on with everyone lumping the London and the last 43 games or 42 games, whatever it is, we had up until this stretch, it was a winning record, and then they lost 5 straight series. I'm taking these 5 straight series as really the lull because they were still playing above 500 post-London, including a sweep of the Dodgers. Like, if we're saying, wow, it's been a real colossal, tough 40-something, tough quarter, yeah, they have played under 500 in that time. But they've played disastrously so in the last 2 weeks. That's taken that entire record and thrown it out the door and pretty much threw away all the goodwill of sweeping the Dodgers in there.
Yeah, 4-10 over their last 14 now. So interesting there. It's interesting to get your feelings today because it's, man, you talk about the highs and the lows. I mean, this is where you were as far as feeling for the Phillies to where you are now. Let us know. 610-632-0975. Love to hear from you. Ray, we have some texts from people talking about their feelings with the Phillies.
Yes, we do. Mark in Cherry Hill checking in with terrible. Turner and Harper are 12 for 86 for the last 10 games, a 140 clip. Will win few games with that production.
Yeah, that is terrible. That's not good.
We're not mincing words at this point.
No, that's why
you can't.
Turner's not going to be a 350 hitter. That's why Harper might not win MVP. Like, only one guy wins MVP. Yeah, these slumps do happen in baseball.
And that's also going back to the point of, if this happens in the postseason, okay, there's your answer. Like, that's why I can't get too concerned. I know these guys, what they are. If they hit a cold stretch like this, it's not some, like, crazy faulty flaw. It's just them having a bad stretch at a bad time. I'll be livid when it happens, but at this point, like, I'm not going to sit here, am I going to utter the 4 words that we all love to do? I'm concerned about Bryce Harper? No, I'm not getting there. I can't get there right now. We do 2 months of this, maybe we'll talk about it, but
The only thing I worry about is that, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, that it gets into their heads. That it's like, it's coming again. Or, I can't stop this. It came against Houston. It came against Arizona. Now it's coming back again, and maybe it's going to happen during the playoffs.
I feel like it just gets in their heads of when they've skid before.
Yeah.
For a player.
For the individual,
For the individual. Okay. Like, they've had, like, slumps. I feel like it's in their head, but I think it could also be in their head because it's like, all right, what did I do to get out? Because I think you are seeing these guys press at the plate. They're swinging at ball 4. Brandon Marsh did that last night, who actually had been hitting the ball much better in the last week and a half. But when he swung at ball 4, and he just shook his head and he knew it. Boom, struck out, missing wildly on a pitch, and I think that he cursed at the pitcher, but he also was probably cursing at himself quite a bit
Stott
too.
had a horrible strikeout last night where he swung at 2 bad pitches and then looked at one over the plate.
They're pressing.
Without a doubt.
When you're swinging at the very first pitch and grounding into either a double play or one, I think it was like they almost turned a double play. They know it.
Yeah,
They don't need me to tell them, but I'm here to tell you anyway.
No, well, I need you here to tell me. Yeah.
I will tell them anyway.
And you're going to be here all day to tell us. We will all be here with you today. We're talking Phillies a lot because it's just a bad loss, a bad time, bad feelings are going on. How bad is it for you? I mean, is this like, a sign of things to come? Is it like we talked about? Is it just the baseball part of it? We'd love to hear what you have to say. 610-632-0975. You can text us or call us there. We're going to get to some more texts when we get back. Amy Fadul's with us all day long. Ray Dunn producing. I'm Bob Cooney. This is Middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. Cooley here on Middays. Good to have you with us. Great to be here. Hey, our YouTube family, shout out to you guys. Love the conversation you're having today. It was cool. I had a little back and forth on Twitter last night with a guy who was at first complaining that I was complaining that Caitlin Clark wasn't on the women's team, and you know, when there's a local girl on the team, how can you, as Copper's on the team, how can you not talk about that? And this is what I love. And I was like, wait, I wasn't looking for. And he said, you know, you're talking about somebody being on there and then somebody else getting cut. And I was like, no. I love the way the women's team is. I love the USA women's team. Love watching them play. I just wanted to add somebody. I would like, you know, to have seen Caitlin Clark's game go with that. Also, but the cool part was we went back and forth like 2 or 3 times, and everything's cool. Like we're all on the same page.
Here's what I'm saying. Here's what you're saying. We're all good.
Yeah, that's what I love. I love doing that kind of stuff. So we appreciate all the interaction that we do have. Our YouTubers out there, keep up your great conversation. Everybody be friendly with each other. It's all just sports. That's all it is, Aim. It's not ending the world. Ray, the theme today is we're telling everybody what's your feeling on the Phillies? Like, where are you? Yeah, we're all frustrated. I think Ray laid it out perfectly. Yeah, you're frustrated because so many things aren't going right. But overall, can you look at the big picture? Like, when they were going really well, I don't think we did a great job of looking at the big picture. We were saying, yeah, this team's fun to watch, but to carry it over to make it say, you know what, this is the best season I've ever seen in my life. At the time, I was saying, whoa, slow down. It's too early.
Yeah.
Other things could happen. And all of us pretty much, to a degree, were the same way. Like, this is great. Can they uphold it? Probably not. Did we see it going the way it's going now? Probably not. But where do we put ourselves? So there's a lot of talk out there. And, Ray, a couple more texts we have about people and their feelings with the Phillies right now.
Yes, Jackie in California wanted to check in about Rojas in center field. Jackie is not a Rojas fan, but if you look at center fielders for other division leaders, the Orioles, Mullins hitting 221, Guardians, Martinez is hitting 234, Robles hitting 360 for the Mariners, Mitchell's hitting 281 for the Brewers, and Outman's hitting 150 for the Dodgers. Robles appears to be the only one without question mark, if you're confident Robles to begin with.
Yeah, like I said before,
there are a lot of examples.
Normal, yeah.
Across, I think, every team, good teams, I should say. Obviously, the bad teams have it a lot more. Yeah, it's just, if you're confident, to your point, if you're confident in, your players, in this case, the core group, the Bryce Harpers, the Trey Turner, who had a tremendous start to the season, Kyle Schwarber getting back on track all the way down, Alec Boehm, Nick Castellanos, then they're not all going to continue scuffling. People will start to right the ship, and then it could snowball in a better way. We've talked about it snowballing, obviously, with everything going their way. And I think the defense has been suspect, but it's been more glaring because there hasn't been anything good. Like, you're looking for something to go your way when things aren't. You need to not make extra errors because things are so tough for you to get on base. So tough for you to try to score. Don't give them extra outs. Don't give them extra strikes. The umpires, to be honest, have given Aaron Judge, I think, 5 extra strikes that I've seen. But that's just fine.
It's weird. Like, you're not going to get perfection.
No.
Right? But you have to limit the mistakes. And it's a conscious thing. You want to say, I think, with a team this good, just go out and play. Look, just go out and play. You're good enough. Just go out and play. But when you're struggling to this degree, there also has to be a hint of, well, let's make sure we're not getting picked off because we have to get a win. Let's make sure you can take that extra base, that you're going to get there. And,
make sure
it's
you turn the double play.
Yeah, it's just different things like that. And you don't want to play cautious, but as many people on our YouTube page are saying, you have to play smart. And sometimes, that's a question that you have with the Phillies team. What else do we have, Ray?
All right, Andre in West Philly, check it in, saying the issue with the Phillies, like every Philly team, they get a lead and let up. Stay healthy and come on October. They will be fine. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
That's nice. We're going to have a good day.
It's nice to finish.
We are having a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got an unnamed texter checking in with a lot of thoughts here. Everyone also seems so surprised we go back to they haven't been right since the London series. To go even further back, they haven't been the team from the beginning of the year since they went out to Colorado. Look, your big boys need to hit. That's the bottom line. The other issue is that there could be a lack of sense of urgency because all the talk about, look how many games they are ahead of the Braves and that they still have the best record in baseball. I think a lot of people, the team included, are just worried about where they're at and not how they're playing, stop worrying about everyone else, and play your best baseball like you did earlier in the season.
I'm not going to go back to that Colorado series. They have some really good wins since that Colorado series.
Yeah, I mean, you did sweep the Dodgers here. You've
had some really good wins.
Yeah, I think this is a couple weeks, but I don't know. We'll have to look deeper into that. But here is your Phillies starting lineup today, just for those who may be just joining us and didn't hear it. Kyle Schwarber leading off, DH in left field. Austin Hayes batting second. Bryce Harper hitting third. Alec Bohm fourth. Nick Castellanos fifth. Shortstop batting sixth. Edmundo Sosa. Second base batting seventh. Weston Wilson. Batting eighth and catching, Garrett Stubbs. Batting ninth in center field, Johan Rojas. There was talk before we came on air about, remember when Doc Rivers said, scheduled losses? Some were comparing this to that.
Just because it's a wonky game, the 12:30 time, you're going to have a hodgepodge lineup, with different guys playing different positions. And
you got Turner out today and you have JT out today. The other ones are kind of like the platoon type of thing.
Yeah.
Look, a 2-day off for a veteran like a Turner who's struggling, whatever, 2 days in a row off. Okay, the timing might not be great, but it is what it is. Bob in Jersey, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Bob?
Hey, guys, Bob, and you love the show.
Thank you, buddy.
Mike Tyson said everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Yes, he did.
And they came in the last 2 nights, and also Baltimore, Cleveland, in case anybody wasn't noticing, and I'm sure you were, they punch us in the mouth. I mean, Jazz, Chisholm. What I'm noticing is, again, I know Amy had mentioned it, the confidence, the swagger. Citizens Bank used to be a place where people feared to come in, and they come in and stole our heart. I mean, they're going to make a statement today. I'm not panicking yet, but it's just you watch the body language. I saw Wheeler the other night when he hung that whatever to Aaron Judge. I'm watching the body language. I just don't see the swagger. And the Yankees came in here, and they seem like a completely better team. Again, I'm not a big Yankees fan, obviously, but I was watching the body language, and they punched us in the mouth and took our heart. We got to come out today and make a statement. We have to.
You know what, Bob? You make a great point. I meant to bring this up earlier, my own observation, too. If you're a Phillies team and you're not seeing the swagger, who do you look to first? It would probably be Bryce Harper, right?
Obviously Bryce Harper. Yes,
his body language has been really bad lately, don't you think?
Yes. He looks resigned, the shoulders. And as Amy said, I know they're pressing, they're trying. It's mental. But he needs to out there and be the cheerleader, get the pom-poms going. I know it sounds corny, but, get this team going. And, let's get the match back, because the Yankees were kind of just laughing in our face the last 2 nights, especially the night before. It was really bad.
Bob,
and then
great
last
call.
night, they came right back to that. Thanks, guys. Great show.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Good points. Like and someone said they want to get Rob Thompson tossed or whatever. At some point, I'm not saying, because I don't think the manager getting tossed fires up. I think him maybe going out and arguing, but I don't know, him getting tossed is probably the right idea. Kevin Long, I think, got tossed the other day for it.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said for getting a little bit of mojo going your way. If you hit a home run, and obviously it was Austin Hayes yesterday, so I don't think he's a bat spike type of guy, and he's only been here for 5 minutes. But if you get something going your way, like, let's have a little bit. We're used to seeing when this team was rolling, everybody was on that top rail. Yeah. Always locked in. They're still out there, but the body language isn't as good because they've obviously been struggling. So maybe if I was the coach of the Shawnee's Little League, I would go, hey, look alive in there. Okay, give us a little chatter, give us a little something going.
And again, let's live in the moment and let's look past it a little bit. If the Phillies come out of this, Rob Thompson could be praised by players. I could very well hear it, and we've heard it before. And Rob was cool about it. He didn't show much emotion. He just knew we were going to right this ship. We appreciate that. There's been times past, and Larry Bowe and I have talked about this, that in 1980 they had stars on that team in the late 70s and stuff. And he says, everybody says Pete Rose came in. He goes, it wasn't just Pete. You had a guy in Green that came in as a manager and yelled at us and kicked our asses.
Because that's what they needed.
Because that's what they needed. Yep. So, live in the moment, look past it, see what it is. But we're trying not to get that overreaction. But it's hard. It's awfully hard, especially to the spot where this Phillies team took us not too long ago. Mitch in East Windsor, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Mitch?
How's it going, guys? Good show.
Thanks, buddy.
Something Harper's Simmons should share for the MVP. I wish, especially Marsh, would play more often over this platoon bit. Because if you're really going for it, I think you guys are. I mean, this Jazz guy, boy, he's kind of like bank. I don't know what the Yankees gave up, but their luck.
Not much.
And you could say now, I think you could say that Bryce Harper is a better ball player than Mike Trout, who I think is probably going to be shut down the rest of the year. And the Angels are probably going to trade him for a lot next year. I think the Phillies be in it, but I think it's Harper's one of the best players in our lifetime.
He is. Thanks, Mitch. Appreciate the call.
If his career ended, he's a Hall of Famer. Like,
and you guys all know my
MVP.
feelings on that. Yeah, great. When he's done, we'll talk about his Hall of Fame, the better player, and all that stuff. I'm more in the moment. Like, right now, Bryce Harper sucks, and he'll be the first one to say it.
He's
and
not playing well.
He's won for his last 25 in the last 6 games. I don't know. Yeah, Mike Trout did get shut down for the rest of the season as he had a setback coming back from the injury.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Yeah, he says he still wants to play this season, but, here we are knocking on the door of August. You wonder. And they didn't say what the setback was. And I feel bad. Mike Trout is obviously a generational type of talent. And when he was prime and going, it was amazing to watch and fun to watch. But he's had a lot of, kind of serious injuries that have hampered his seasons recently. And they gave him that big deal. Rightfully so. It's Mike Trout. Like, you make the big deal.
Yeah.
You have to. And you reap the consequences no matter what they are.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Phillies are going to be trading for Mike Trout next year.
Is that? I didn't know.
I think that's what Mitch was trying. I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think so either. David in Drexel Hill, real quick. What's going on, David? You're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey,
Good. How are you?
Cleaning at the cemetery, and you was talking about Caitlin Clark, and it's funny because me and my daughter and some people were talking about her. Dorrance Daly said this, that when they were picking the Olympic team, Caitlin Clark was new. She had just come to the WNBA. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
You're right. You're 100% right.
If you take Caitlin Clark today, she would be ahead of almost half of those people on the Olympic team. So she said it's a much different player that they would easily pick to be on the team.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a great smile because Caitlin Clark, she handled it so professional when they didn't get her.
Yeah, I agree with you. My point yesterday, and I didn't want. I watched the U.S. women's team play the other day against Japan. I love watching them play. I think her type of basketball also would be cool to see because she's a really good passer. She likes to get out and run. I would just like to have seen her with these guys. I don't want anybody to be taken off of this team. I just would have liked to have seen her also on this team just to see how much better everybody could have been. Yeah, but they're still great.
That was like her fans and all. See, we foreseen it. We knew how great she was going to be.
You knew, David. You knew.
For me to say, hey, put her on the team, But she's proven herself, and that's what make it nice. Ain't nobody giving her nothing. She's earning it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I love about her, because she's the star. That's like a Michael Jordan of basketball now.
David, thanks so much. Appreciate the call. Like I said, not that I got into it. I had a conversation with some people on Twitter yesterday. All I was saying was, I would like to see her skills added to this team. Like, get out and run more. I told you, I appreciated their passing. They played really smart the other day. Of course, they were just better talent-wise, but they also played a smart brand of basketball and good passing and all that stuff. That's all. That's all we were going with there. I wasn't looking for anybody to come off the USA women's team. All right, when we get back, I do want to hit on a little bit of what a couple Eagles had to say yesterday when they got done their first day of hitting, because there seemed to be kind of a star out there, as a lot of people are talking about, and it was a rookie, so we'll hear on some of the things that Quinyon Mitchell had to say. Amy Fadul's with us here today. Ray Dunn producing. I'm Bob Cooney. This is Middays 97.5, The Fanatic. welcome back as we approach the 12 o'clock hour. Hope you're having a good Wednesday. Hump day, get through this. Got Olympics going on. What a busy day. So we know a lot of you are going to turn on the Phillies at 12:30. That's fine. Just keep the sound down. Keep listening to us. We'll carry you on through. You got Phillies. Then this afternoon you got Olympic basketball.
Yes.
That you can watch while you're listening to the best show ever. And then tonight there's soccer in town, which is cool. Amy's going to.
Yeah.
You're not going.
Friendly.
You are going to that.
Yes, 7:30. Liverpool, Arsenal.
You're just.
It's like all kinds of sports today.
Yeah. Now, will we be buying a jersey, T-shirt, something from that friendly?
Yes. Well, Shawnee already has a jersey. He's got 2. I don't know which one he's going to wear. He'll decide that. He's on his way now to the Phillies game. He almost went with his Orion Kerkering jersey. I may have given him like a little look of like maybe because the last time he wore that they did not win either, and I thought maybe just you've got 7 jerseys, pick one of the other ones. And then he asked what color they were, and I said, well, it's a day game, so they'll wear cream. He doesn't wear the cream one because that's a Hoskins jersey, and Hoskins doesn't play for them anymore. I told him Hoskins is completely fine, but I think I'm pretty sure he went with the red Trey Turner. I will find out in an hour and a half or 2 hours or so.
Why aren't they listening? Can he text you and tell you now?
Actually, they just got out of the car. I got a text. They just
Shawnee,
got out of the car.
I want a picture of you. I want it sent now to your mother so we can see. All I took out of that.
Oh, wait, they might still be on. We'll see.
The little, announcement that you made right there was little Shawnee spoiled. He's got 7 jerseys
that's all he asked
there.
for.
Pat. I'm Pat. Ray. I don't know why I said Pat. I just read Pat and I said Pat.
Oh.
Ray, 7 jerseys in your lifetime?
That's
Phillies?
Yeah.
any. Oh gosh, I can't talk about any. He's got
Any.
Yeah, you settle down over there, Missy.
Sorry.
Let's see. A couple Howards. I think like as I just continued, it didn't matter the year. It didn't matter what was happening. I'll go through Howard. I never had 7 active at once that I could wear. Right now, I think I have 2.
Huh.
There's a knockoff Kingery that I'm looking for that I think I gave to my brother that I have. I think I only have 1 active player jersey.
If you were to get any jersey right now, right here, I just handed you $200. I said you can go get any jersey of any Philly player right now. Who would it be?
Probably just use that money for groceries.
I said
don't be pragmatic.
Come over for dinner all week.
Pragmatic is more. Let's see. Which way would I
like to eat?
Yeah, I do. It's nice. I might go like Nola. I got 7 years ahead of me with Nola. I've been a supporter of the man through a lot. So I'd probably go Nola. Trey Turner probably is like the other option there. Probably Turner and Nola. I always look for long-term viability with this. The player I have to either be like absolutely 100% like behind the player forever. Like I could have gone and gotten probably Hoskins when he was still on the team because I was a big Hoskins guy.
Yeah, Shawnee loved Hoskins.
Andrew McCutchen. I still wear the Cutch jersey. Loved Andrew McCutchen as a guy, as a player.
As a guy.
Yeah.
The guy.
Yeah.
I think
that's
I guess
all he
Turner.
asked for.
If you want long term, although it's only going to be about 5 more years.
That's why he has so many jerseys.
Kevin Sullivan.
I could get a Kevin Sullivan.
Kevin was in.
He was throughout the first pitch.
Oh, did he really?
He throughout
I
the
knew
first
he was
pitch.
in the
It was
locker
not particularly great, and that's okay. He put his hands on his head. It was it was a bit wild. The fanatic tossed him.
Let's talk first pitches. All right, first of all, Kevin was in the Phillies clubhouse. Bryce Harper was really cool talking to him.
Yes.
Like, yeah, you're from Philly too, right? Like Bryce Harper knew about the kid. That's still cool to
met
me.
With Rob Thompson.
Yeah,
I think he said hi to him or something.
And I think Kevin gave Harper a Union jersey.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's all cool. I really struggle sometimes with professional athletes. Not being able to throw a ball.
Yeah. No, why?
Matvey Michkov?
His wasn't terrible.
Look, I saw where it went. Fine.
Well, he did.
Oh my God!
He was smart enough to realize I'm not going to be that. I'm not. This is not my strong
suit. He only threw it about 8 feet.
Exactly. It's not my strong suit. I'm not going to. I think that's some of the best advice when people ask about. They'll ask a professional baseball player about throwing out the first pitch. Like, don't even think about towing that rubber. Don't even think about it because it will say. And in their minds, they don't realize how far it is.
Yeah.
And they get out there, and that's when they panic. There's been there's not case studies, but there's been a lot of people that have been interviewed afterwards, like what happened, even if they were good and they know exactly how to throw a baseball, but they get out there and it's just something about it. It's tunnel vision. And I think there was one, I don't know if it was, I think it was maybe 50 Cent who has one of the worst ones of all time.
Yes.
He's like,
yes.
I obviously know how to throw baseballs and footballs and basketball, whatever. But somehow when you got up there and I got on the mound, it looked so far away, and all I could think about is, I hope I get it there. And then they end up like overthrowing or going crazy.
You have to either be like dead on strike or it has to be awful. Make it memorable,
Yeah,
one way or the
good
other.
point.
Yeah.
And come on, these two guys, Mitchkov and Sullivan,
Sullivan's was not very good.
two
I didn't see
prodigies
Sullivan.
It was wild.
in sports that have nothing to do with throwing the ball.
True. He uses only his
so
feet.
I'm wrong on
He doesn't
that.
even
Again,
use his hands.
I'm learning. All through life, I'm learning. When I think of an athlete, I don't care what sport you play. I think of someone that could throw and catch a ball.
Yeah, I think you're mistaken on
That's
that one.
wrong.
I covered a guy in college, and he was a very good football player, very good. Grew up playing football, excellent. And some of the guys were just having and he could throw a football fine. That wasn't his particular position as a linebacker, but some people were having a catch off to the side with baseball and media people. So we're just kind of throwing the ball around. I think it wasn't a baseball, it was like a tennis, whatever it was, but it was more of like a baseball style throw. And so some of the players get in on it. And they're over there throwing us. We have this big round. We're just waiting for the media that they're having. It's picture day. This gentleman who went on to play in the NFL for a couple of years had never thrown a baseball in his life. He was 20 years old. And we all couldn't believe he didn't know that you plant the opposite foot. And then it was like teaching a child how to do it. And I remember thinking, how is that possible? And he's like, I've only ever played football and basketball. Like, yeah, but it never occurred to you to throw the ball? No. He had never done it. He was 20 years old, a D1 scholarship athlete.
Yeah.
And went on to play at the next level and had never thrown a baseball.
I don't know why it still amazes me. So when we were in high school, there was a kid that I always went up against, in basketball. And he was fast and he was quick and he was a good athlete. He had the fastest hands I ever saw. I always thought he should have been a boxer. We went out one day, and I guess it was like senior year because I didn't have gym with him before. And he went to throw a baseball, and I was like, oh, my God. Like, how can you not know how to throw a base? I don't know why. It's still me. But Matvey Michkov, who's going to be a great hockey player in this town, watching him try to throw a ball, I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't think they know how you step, and then you throw through.
It's just to me, it's the most natural thing of hand-eye coordination of being an athlete. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. It's strange.
You've never done it, though.
We got off track a little bit.
Yeah,
we
sorry.
apologize. When we get back,
we'll get back.
We'll get your calls. Stick on the phone. We'll get to you because there's a lot of people that still want to talk Phillies. We're also going to dip into some of what the Eagles had to say yesterday after their first day of hitting. At 1 o'clock, we're going to talk to Jeff Mosher, who covers the Philly for Inside the Birds, or covers the Eagles for Inside the Birds. So we'll take a talk with Jeff. A lot more to do. Couple hours left on this show. Amy Fadul here all day. I'm Bob Cooney, Ray Dunn producing. This is Middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back, 12 o'clock here, middays. It's funny the stuff that kind of starts conversations. I was just saying, like, it amazed me that someone like, a great athlete doesn't know how to throw a ball. And you and I had a conversation about it. The YouTube people are all talking about it. My old boss, Pat McClune, texts me. He's like, "You're not wrong. Everybody that I grew up could throw a ball," and just on and stuff about that. I'm not putting anybody down. I'm just saying it does amaze me, like how we grew up playing everything. I didn't know anybody that couldn't throw a ball, and to have an athlete the likes of which I could never even imagine being, like a Matvei Michkov. I just couldn't understand.
Well, Kevin Sullivan knows how to throw a ball. I think he just throw it errantly.
Look, he's 14.
Yes, 14.
Yeah, I think there might have been some nerves there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and
it was
a packed house, too, at that point. A lot of times when you're out there for the first pitch, it's not as busy yet. I mean, that's the Yankees game. So those fans got there as soon as gates opened.
Yeah. We just saw a couple walk in.
Oh, yeah.
A couple. The guy had on a Bryce Harper jersey. The girl had on an Aaron Judge jersey. Now, what is the update on Jersey Gate in your family?
So they were listening. I think they have parked now and have walked into the ballpark. But he is wearing Trey Turner, though Turner is not in the lineup.
No, he is not.
No, he's not.
What color is his Trey Turner jersey?
It is red.
Or does he have multiple?
He has one Trey Turner. He does have two Hoskins, several Harper, a Kirkering. He really likes Orion Kirkering.
So do I. That might be my jersey if I was in the jersey.
And somebody else. Oh, Zach Wheeler.
Does he have a City edition?
Yeah, he's got a City Connect. That's Harper. He's got a World Series patch. That's Wheeler. This is all he asks for. Every Christmas and birthday.
And he gets
the only thing he gets. I don't have to buy him anything else.
How many jerseys does he have?
He's got a Reed Blankenship. He's got...
he's the one.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the kid likes obscurity. Jalen Hurts, he's got 4, I think.
Flyers?
1.
Dare I ask, Sixers?
This is a lot of. He's got a Maxi and 2 Embiids, 2 Maxis and 2 Embiids. He wanted a Paul Reed, but he didn't get that at last Christmas, and now
Mom vetoed him
that
on
ship
that.
has sailed.
Yeah.
Santa did not deliver that one.
Santa ain't a Paul Reed fan. 12 o'clock hour is brought to you by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months and a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at servicefirsthvac.com. Lots of Phillies talk going on today. It's a tough time. And maybe today's the day they turn it around because Bernie in Newtown thinks it might be. Bernie, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me on. I'm actually sitting in traffic on 95 heading to the game.
Yeah, everybody said it's really bad.
It's really bad. I'm at Allegheny at a standstill.
Oh, but, good luck.
Thanks. This is a turnaround game for the Phillies. Here's why. Because who's your I'm a Yankees fan, by the way.
All right.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Be sorry.
Who's the manager's name again, the Phillies?
Rob Thompson.
Okay, smart guy. Because he knows, like every other Yankee fan knows, Nestor Cortez thinks. He can't. Nestor Cortez could not beat the Phillies AAA team. That's how bad this guy is. In fact, I'd sit a couple more starters for the Phillies. If I'm Cashman, I'm calling the Marlins up and, thanking them for Jazz. Chisholm, so happy with the trade. We're going to send you down Nestor Cortez as another thank you.
Just as an extra.
Well, look at it this way, though. The Phillies couldn't do anything against Will Warren last night, and he was from AAA.
Nah, I hear you, but I'm telling you, wait till today. Nestor Cortez is the
I just fat fingered him. I apologize. I went to grab my pen and I accidentally hit
one. I
know.
He's in traffic. That stinks.
Yeah, sorry about that. Hope the traffic gets better for anybody
Nestor
else.
Cortez, as I mentioned it, is 0-6 on the road this year, and I believe his ERA is north of 6 on the road.
It's so fun to hear the disdain in people's voices.
He's like, you don't understand.
For
I'm
their
a Yankees
own
fan.
team. Yeah.
I'm a Yankees fan, and you're definitely going to win this game.
I was waiting for a scouting report on Nestor Cortez, and he goes,
no, he
stinks.
He just stinks.
Yeah, all right. That's about as good as we're going to get. But, Ray, you're confident Philly's going to win today?
Yeah, I am.
I love that kid.
I feel great.
He's trying to sell it. I'm buying it.
You're not a good liar.
I'm not. Yeah. I'm not like.
You're trying to sell it.
I'm confident in this team and its eventual path. The day-to-day right now is no fun. Cortez, though, a 5+ ERA since the beginning of June. They're 2-8 in the last 10 games he started.
Go.
So, Stubbs home run today. Book it.
To that, write it down. There's your ring it. How many points you get for that?
I took the hat off last night, and I think I texted you guys, right?
No.
Yeah, didn't I say Schwarber goes yard here? Schwarbomb?
You mistyped it first, and then
I said a Schwarbomb coming, and I took my hat off and everything. Or I wasn't wearing a hat. But if I had one, I would have had a hat off. I think we're good. Yeah, I think there's a few home runs to be had today.
What I want is better at bats. Here's this guy. His ERA is since June over 5. They've won 2 games in his starts since June. No more first. Don't even think about it.
First inning runs?
No, first bat. Like don't swing at the garbage that he's going to slop over there in the first try. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Give me a good at bat.
Good at bats.
Patience at the plate.
Hit balls that are in that little box.
See ball, hit ball, good ball.
Yeah. Don't swing at things at your feet and then watch ones down the middle.
If Aaron Judge gets 5 strikes per at bat each time, I might. Yeah. I can't. That was pretty rough. And I know obviously the game was not hinged upon an umpire, but you're watching him strike out, and I'm thinking, why is he still there? Because clearly. And it's not even one of those. It's like close on the box. It's like in the middle. It's like upper zone.
It's at the top. It's at the top of the zone.
There we are.
When he's like 6'11" anyway, so you know it's got to be a higher pitch to be a strike.
That's belt high.
Yes.
For that guy.
It is.
No idea how frustrating it is to watch it happen in front of you. The screen being above where we were sitting, and then just seeing that was in the zone. And yeah, I'll be honest. The men of the Dunn family were taking exception to the guy who's 6'7" getting a 6'5" strike zone, because it seemed that everything that was up that you would think would be a strike. Oh, that's got to be too tall. It's not too tall for Aaron Judge.
No, there's nothing too tall for that.
It's in there. It's a strike.
It is a strike.
Call it. Please.
I'll come down from
begging you. It's driving me nuts. It's like, and it's only because it's him. It's like, if there was a 6'7" dude who stunk, who like couldn't hit, fine, give him 5 strikes. This is Aaron Judge. I'm dying on every single pitch as they throw it to him, because anyone that's near the strike zone, I half expect to be put into the second deck.
So, You know when Ray goes on his tirades, how much fun you and I have looking at each other and looking at him? Right now, he is a volcano. He's not erupting.
No, but
it's like
he's not going to be dormant much longer.
No, I have a drone over top, and I am anticipating the eruption coming, because it is coming soon with Ray. Like you're trying to hold it back, and you're doing a really good job. I'm semi proud of you. You're doing a really good job of holding it back, but man, I can see it coming.
You want to know when it's going to be?
No, don't tell us.
No, you know when it's going to be. They go to Seattle.
Randy Arozarena.
A certain Mariner hits 3 home runs in 3 games.
He will be apoplectic.
And I'm going to be
will not be able to come back.
Subjected to 3 against the Yankees, where even if Chisholm doesn't hit a home run today, he's hit 4. And Arozarena, and I wasn't even that big on them getting Jazz Chisholm. I wasn't really
Andrew
in favor.
Was, I think,
yeah,
right?
Andrew
was calling for it. Yeah.
Calling for it. But it's just going to be one of those things where it's like, I'll probably have the volcanic eruption, and then I'll be fine. I think that might be what it is. I think eventually they're going to have me hit a breaking point. I'm going to get it all out, and then it'll be all right. We're on to the World Series. Maybe that's what has to happen for them to turn around. I just need to hit rock bottom.
I need Chisholm to wear one in the butt, the back somewhere today.
Stop it.
You need to erupt.
Brush him
a
off.
lot of things have to happen. No, he's got to wear one.
Stop
I'm sorry. He's getting a bruise.
Why put him on base?
He'll be there anyway.
I'm past putting guys on. I don't care about that. There's more to this game of baseball than just putting a guy on base.
The walk rate right now is really atrocious.
Yeah.
Really bad.
Plunk. Sorry, had to do it. It's coming. Ricky Bowe would agree with me. I wish he was available to talk to us, but he's not. He's doing like television stuff. Joe in West Philly. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on, Joe?
Hey, what's up, Bob, Amy?
How you doing, buddy?
Oh, yeah, listen, enjoying the baseball talk. I think first of all, as far as the jerseys, if your mom is one of the top sportscasters in the city, you representing with all them different country. You know what I mean? You've done a good job as a child representing with all them jerseys.
Thanks, Joe.
You know what I'm saying? That's on point.
You make a good point, Joe. I agree with you.
Me too. That's on point. And the thing about the first pitch, you do it so much, simulated, home run hitting and growing up. You simulating striking people out growing up. I guess when you get up there, you think it's that easy. I think it's got to be the distance it throws people off. I mean, it got to be, but it really has come from a time where people really did look good back in the day doing it. To the as further we go along, it get worse and worse and worse. I guess it's not as much baseball simulation as it used to go on. I remember just simulating home runs as a kid growing up, or simulating striking people out. You know what I mean? But as far as these Phillies, man, all the success they've been having over the last couple of years, whether the NLC or the World Series, we always get to the point where we're talking about them going through some type of downtime with the team, and it seems like they always, they make it back. It seems, it's just something about this team. You know what I mean?
So your patience is okay right now, Joe?
The patience is okay because I seen the lull and they went to the NLC Championship. It was a lull when they went to the World Series. I mean, it just seems the way that this team, just slows down at some point. I mean, it's baseball. Like I said, it's 162 games. Jeez. And everybody is winning and losing. Nobody is, I think we get a little carried away, but I expect that when the playoffs and everything start rounding around, I expect them to be back in favor.
Joe, great call as always. Thanks so much. Really appreciate you making it. It's funny this throwing a baseball thing is like kind of taking off. Our YouTube guys are still talking about it. I'm even getting more. Look, it's a growing up kind of thing. Like everybody that I grew up with, we played ball. And you didn't know, and like my old boss Pat McClune said, everybody he grew up with, you knew how to throw a baseball, and like it just is kind of surprising that, not that nobody knows that professional athletes. Just to me, it just surprises me. I'm not putting anybody down.
He's Russian.
Okay.
He doesn't play baseball in Russia.
He's a prodigy. He's a hockey prodigy. If I had one sport that I was so exceptional at, like I would like to think that I would continue to play other sports and all those things. If I was so exceptional, if I was Michkov level at the sport that I was playing, there's a good chance I would have hunkered down and just went full set.
I agree, but as an athlete, like throwing and catching a ball, like what do you do as like little kids?
So I send you
balls.
I send you over to Ireland, okay? Your home country.
That's debatable, but
back to the land of the original Bobs.
I'm a mutt.
Okay,
I'm not really from anywhere.
The Cooney name and your complexion say otherwise. Okay, so you go over there. One of the most popular sports there is hurling. Have you ever seen or played hurling? No.
You mean after a lot of drinking?
Yeah, well, that's just a little different.
That's where we were at.
Yeah.
Yes. So there we go.
I honest to God, I
so
don't
I give
know
you
what
a
hurling.
hurling.
I have no idea what it is, y'all.
Oh yes. Well, I know several people that play hurling, and all my Irish people that are listening, you guys know what I'm talking about. Anybody, I think, in Great Britain also too. But anyway, so hurling. I'm gonna give you the hurling stick and the ball, and I'm gonna say go. And when you miss it, do I laugh at you? No, I don't, Bob. So
if you put a ball on the ground and give me a stick, I'm pretty sure
it's in the air. It's in the air. It's in the air.
So it's like baseball.
No, it's like a lacrosse. It's an aggressive version of lacrosse where you hit the ball. And you have to see it. It's worth a Google.
Okay, so that's kind of more specialized thing. Like you're talking about a sport. I'm talking about, I just felt like throwing, the motion of throwing that.
But he's never done it. He doesn't throw.
I know. It's just surprising. I'm not saying he's wrong, and I'm not like putting anybody down. And I really, I'm not.
I don't know how to say I'm sorry in Russian, but I will find out.
Who said thank you? Oh, John Clark. Call John. I'm sure he would know. He's probably got some things going on.
John doesn't need to apologize. He needs to say, like, hi, how are you, and thank you.
Yes. How do you like the airport?
Exactly. How was your flight?
Yeah, that would be a good one. All right, lots of Phillies talk going on so far today before we get to some Eagles stuff. And, Ray, we do have some text messages more about our Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, I love this from Chris in Bethlehem. And there's one thing about Chris in Bethlehem I will bring up following this message. But I love, he just sent in a screenshot of the old Mookie Wilson quote, "When I'm in a slump, I comfort myself by saying, if I believe in dinosaurs, then somewhere they must be believing in me. And if they believe in me, then I can believe in me."
I always love that. I always love that quote.
I don't think I ever heard that before.
Oh, really? It's a funny one. People post it. It's in like a clipping, a newspaper clipping. And it gets posted a lot. It's great.
That might be my level of faith right now. They're winning today. Well, if I believe in dinosaurs, then the dinosaurs must believe in the Phillies winning today. That's how I'm going to approach the rest of this slump. I will have to say, though, I don't know who was producing us. I went back and found Chris in Bethlehem's previous text. I don't know who was producing us during this day, but they did not bring this to my attention. This is our whole working the land conversation that we've had before.
Chris, you know this conversation, right, Amy?
Yes.
Okay.
Chris runs a vineyard in PA and said, I'm welcome to come out anytime to try working the land whenever I want. So I think we have to organize at least one day of me the working the land day with Chris in Bethlehem.
I agree. Chris, let's make this happen.
Work the land.
Yeah, we got to get Chris's information. We're going to make it like some kind of an outing where we watch, like say we're sitting there doing the show and we watch Ray work the land.
Work the land. It's a field trip.
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm so
You have no idea what kind of work you're doing.
We're sitting in a field. He's tilling up the dirt. It's going to be great.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Like, because it may be the hardest I've ever laughed with Ray. We were going down to get something to eat, and he was frustrated with something. He goes, I swear I'm just going to go to Italy and work the land. And I just stopped and started laughing. And I couldn't even get the words out immediately to say, what the hell does that mean?
Work the land.
But once I finally got it out, he goes,
bale some.
I have no idea, but I just want to work the land.
Well, go visit
wasn't
the
land,
cousins.
It was land.
Yes. The cousins
The
over
land.
in Italy.
Yeah, you have cousins in Italy.
Extended cousins. But extended family. Family's family.
Congratulations to your family as a new member arrived today.
Yes, my aunt had her baby, so congratulations, Aunt Kim, on the arrival.
Way to go, Aunt Kim.
Of a kid that I still don't know the name yet. But
we have no name.
A girl that I know.
We've not got the baby girl's name. But congratulations, Aunt Kim. Glad you're doing well. Keep with the text here.
Yes.
David in Cincinnati. Someone should tell Bob that I'm concerned about Bryce Harper is 5 words, not 4. Hand up. That was me.
I was going to say something then. Because I started to count, but then I had to talk, and I forgot. Yeah.
I'm concerned about Harper's 4 words. I added his first name in there. Thus, the count was off. That's my bad. Reason why I end up in
Did you mark the time of that?
No.
Yeah, of course not. Of course not.
In my head, I'm concerned about Harper's 4 words.
He's so concerned.
I'm so concerned I threw his first name in there.
I love that somebody calls you out on a mistake, and on their call out, they make a mistake.
Yeah. Take that, David in Cincinnati. You're going to be in the last week report. And to those who might have missed that comment earlier, I was saying that facetiously. I'm not worried about Harper, please, before you end up in my DMs and my mentions. But he follows up the rest of this message with, I love Topper, but he needs to find a spark during a slump. Wish he would have bunted in extras and pushed a runner over. I appreciate staying true to the team's identity, but sometimes you need to do things differently.
Yeah, like what? The bunting? The bunting I understand.
But if you kind of manufacture some runs.
I kind of agree with that.
That's the only quibble I had.
I'm going to take it a little bit further. If you had to change a little something up, if you're of the belief that, and you know what, we could put this out there. If you're of the belief that the Phillies need to do something just a little different to get kick-started, what would you do?
Little things like that.
Okay. So it's like
bunt the guy over. So when Rojas gets the hit, play a little bit more small ball. And I think that some of that, there was a caller earlier, they're talking about maybe don't force those runs, don't have big leads. Those are things I would be doing. You need to get something going your way. The play for Rojas to score to tie the game in the ninth, that was a great heads-up play. What I wanted was, in the extra innings, Rojas got a single that ended up loading the bases. If you had bunted Bryce Harper over at some point, now granted, obviously, that doesn't always work. In hindsight's 20/20. In a perfect world, the hypothetical, he bunts over, Rojas gets enough of it that it's more than enough to score the ghost runner. But when you look back on it, you're like, was that an opportunity that was missed?
Yeah.
Would it have worked out? I don't know. He could have bunted him over, and the bunt could have been poor, and he could have been thrown out in third. And then you're thinking, why would you make it out at third? And now you're all mad about that. But, you're looking back on it and think, maybe. Why not? Why just give it a whirl?
Would you do anything to this is an odd question.
The lineup is insane today.
It is. Would you change anything? Well, I can't even say that. The only change you could make is top of the order.
Yeah.
Are you going to take
I think they already made the one
down?
change, and that was to move Stott down, and I thought it helped temporarily. I know he did not have a good game yesterday, but he had been hitting better tail into the Guardian series and the other day. So, no, I think the changes to the lineup has already been done. We talked about this, and someone said you can't have Kyle Schwarber lead off, which, okay. So then you don't have him lead off. Where do you put him? How do you move the lineup around? So you put Trey Turner first, you put...
Yeah, I think we've talked that into the same realm of throwing snowballs at Santa Claus. That conversation's gone. He's your leadoff hitter, right?
He's your leadoff guy.
Yeah, that's not what I would do either. So I don't know what they could do. That's pretty good by you, Aim. Small ball shouldn't be that hard, and at times maybe that's what. Yeah, maybe run more. I don't know, look to run the base a little more. Trey Turner's not in the lineup today, but he hasn't really run since he came back from the hamstring injury. I don't know. Maybe there's some things. Maybe there's some things you think they could do. 610-632-0975. What do you got?
I just said they've had 7 straight games that they've won when threatened with a sweep.
Oh, how about that? You can't knock these Phillies out. No
It's
chance,
just a
no
random
way.
stat, but
all right, when we get back, I do want to get to some Eagles soundbite. As they were on the field yesterday in pads, pretty fun to watch. A lot different than just running around,
way better.
Willy-nilly.
Willy-nilly.
I threw that out there just for you,
in
Aim.
So many ways.
It does. It's not just an old woman's phrase. It's an old man's phrase, too. All right, when we get back, we'll hit on all that and a lot more. Amy Fadul, Bob Cooney, Ray Dunn producing. This is Middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back, 12:30 here, middays. Glad you're with us. Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. Yesterday, Aim, it was pretty cool. Like, you're watching the news or you're watching NBC Sports Philly highlights and stuff.
Yes.
And those Eagles, they look different to me. And I was like, wow, what is it? There's something different there. I said, are they on a different colored jerseys? No, that's not it. Is it because that they're, I just couldn't pick up on what it was. And then they just looked bigger to me. And then I realized what it was. Oh my gosh, they're actually like playing football.
Yeah, they sounded different too.
Real fun. Yeah, there was like smashing and stuff like that. So they had the pads on yesterday. So a lot of people, and Jeff Mosher's going to join us at 1 o'clock from Inside the Birds to let us know how things looked out there, not only yesterday, but for the last week, as they've had practice for a full week now. And when they got done yesterday, there is one guy on this team who's kind of making me interested in him more.
Okay, I was going to say, because obviously you're interested.
Like Britton Covey last year, I thought he had an excellent year, like most people did. He had an excellent year returning punts, right? I mean, he did. He was very good.
He was one of the best punt returners in the NFL.
Exactly. I still hold my breath when he does return a punt because I have never seen someone get smattered
little guy.
Every single time.
Gets right back
when
up.
he returns a punt. But there's been talk about him in the slot and being that type of slot guy. Like we've seen the Julian Edelmans and what's the kid's name now that came out? Phil McConkey's kid, whatever. But like we know those slot guys that run real precise patterns, can get you that 3rd and 3 almost like without a doubt.
Yeah, it's almost automatic.
He's trying to become that. And in order to become that, he had some really cool things to say about his fellow wide receivers.
Honestly, anytime you can learn from Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, you are just like a fly on the wall. Everything they do, everything they say, and especially Devontae for my body type, right? Just learning from him. I feel like I learned more in my first month or two here than I did my whole college career, just from watching, right? And but also, I really like to watch film on guys around the league with similar body types, right? Like I've watched a lot of Cole Beasley this year because Cole played for Kellen, you know, in an offense before, so I watched a lot of that and just try and see where you fit in, right? So I don't watch the DK Metcalfs as much because I don't really relate to that. But
I got to tell you, what's
Very
not to
few
like
people
about
do,
that,
Britton.
right?
I loved that I think there's a lot to take away from players in any sport trying to find a similar style game, or in this case, similar style body when you're looking at a small receiver, in Britton Covey's case, and trying to see, all right, what made you successful? How did that work for you? What can I take away from that? Cole Beasley, as he mentioned, is an even better example because he thrived in Kellen Moore's offense down there in Dallas.
Yeah.
So if this guy's trying to make a real push for that third wide receiver spot, showing that you can adapt and become a guy like you've seen. You know, and he talked about Devontae Smith, learning more from him because Devontae Smith is a slight as far as
very slight,
physical attributes. The guy catches everything that comes his way, and he's obviously got speed as well and quickness. But I liked it. I was like, all right, good for you. Like he hears that people are talking about Paris Campbell probably as a third wide receiver, or maybe Smith or whomever else, or Williams. It's just like, oh, okay, not Smith, unless Smitty is like dropped down.
Williams, Johnson, Smith,
Yeah,
you know, there's 13 of them. If you need all 13 of them, we'll go to a Nick Sirianni.
But that's the thing. It's like, I think he's like, all right, well, how can I differentiate myself? I can become a Cole Beasley type of guy. I can become that slot guy because he's going to put himself out there. You've seen him when he punt returns.
He's out there.
No fear.
No
fear.
How cool would that be to have a slot receiver like that with an A.J. Brown and a Devontae Smith?
It's a completely different dynamic, but I like if he is as successful as some of the guys that he named and that we've named.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice wrinkle to have.
3 or 4 catches a game. Yeah, that's all you need.
A good, reliable third option. That's what you need. You need a reliable third option.
Absolutely. And it appears like the star yesterday. Everybody is talking about, and I can't wait to talk to Jeff Mosher at 1 o'clock to get his feelings on Quinyon Mitchell yesterday. And we've played this cut earlier, in the morning show. They played it also, and I think I might have heard it yesterday. But he was talking about going against A.J. Brown. Now, I love the competition. your teammates, but I don't get to play on the field unless I play well against you. So that's your first competition, and he's taking it seriously and taking it all in is Quinyon Mitchell.
I'm gonna just keep it between me and him. I mean, we gonna compete and we gonna talk trash all day. So.
But does he kind of give you pointers and stuff? Like, does he help you out as far as what you're seeing and what he's doing and stuff?
Oh yeah, on the field we gonna compete, but off the field we talking stuff like that, and he just give me pointers and stuff like that. So I appreciate it.
That's cool. Yeah, it's like playing against your family, right? Who do you want to beat more than your family? Nobody. But then at the end of the day, you don't want anybody else beating your family either. So I kind of like where he is. And this isn't the first time this happened because he was asked in OTAs about talking. I think A.J. Brown came off the field and said something like.
He did.
Yeah, he likes to talk a little.
But I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's kind of showing that the stage isn't too big for him right now. But going back to the Britton Covey stuff, that might be, to me, that's kind of after hearing this, that's right, let's keep an eye on this kid. Because that sounds interesting, a Cole Beasley.
Yeah, don't pencil in Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell, the knock on him is his inability to stay healthy. I don't think that's going to be a knock you're going to hear when talking about Britton Covey. That guy's out there no matter what. I mean, you worry about his size, but he's shown in one of the most aggressive positions overall, punt returning, that he's been able to be very reliable. He was one of the best punt returners. That's one of the reasons when we talk about the question marks going into this year, special teams did not come up because special teams was solid last year as opposed to the year before where it was not solid. So
he was really good, surprisingly really good last year.
Very solid.
Yeah, and it's such an X factor to the game that this team, probably needs, has to have, I would even say. But somebody brings up on the YouTube page, well, it goes back to, can Jalen Hurts throw that timing pattern that is needed for a slot receiver? Because that's coming across the middle. That's total timing. That's leading a receiver. If there's some doubts that people have on Jalen Hurts, well, those are, that's certainly one of them, right?
Very specific. When you have the slot receiver, it is all about timing. It is that guy, because he's going to the spot at a certain, whatever count. And you need to have that ball delivered there because, especially where he's going to be, it's prime for a turnover.
Yeah,
if it's not there at the right time.
That interests me. A slot receiver like that you can, because we've seen Eagles get bashed many times by that. A slot receiver with good hands that can just do,
because he just curls over the middle and it's
just automatic.
Yeah, it just eats up all the yards. And there's one thing. First of all, there's nothing over the middle, nothing down the middle for the Eagles last year offensively.
Right.
They didn't do anything. It was just hash mark, I feel like, on sidelines. But you see that. It just eats yardage up.
Yep.
Especially when you have a 3rd and 5. Hey, here's a guy hanging out at the 6.
Stop it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
they couldn't.
Imagine that. That from 3rd and that range that you said, you're almost unstoppable. Oh, yeah, and then on 4th and short, you're absolutely unstoppable.
It'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be a good tandem to have. All right, I got a tweet here about the baseball throwing.
About people not throwing it?
Yeah. Frank65 says, did you ever think maybe Michkov has never thrown a ball before? I mean, they don't play football or baseball in Russia. I played hockey, football, and baseball all my life, and to this day, I can hardly dribble a basketball. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, you're right. Frank, you're right. I didn't. It's not that I didn't take that into consideration. I do, and probably wrongfully so, as many people are pointing out. I just consider throwing a ball to be one of the most
an elementary
logical, a logical elementary skill, good way to put it, athletic endeavor. That it's almost like if I were to say, is somebody an athlete, give them a ball and have them throw it to me. It's like the first test I would give them almost. And I guess I'm wrong on this.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think we've learned.
Really?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I mean, I've known people that have never thrown a ball.
I know, it's like funny to me because all my kids, when they were little, first thing I did was when they started crawling, rolling a ball to them. That was my oldest first word was ball.
That was Shawnee's first word too.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Ray, what was your first word?
I don't know. I don't remember it.
Matvey Michkov.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, don't know what's coming down the line, Mom, Dad.
But I'm going to be ready for it. Yeah, I mean, the hand-eye coordination, trying to teach the rolling ball with a child is something.
All right, when we get back, we'll talk some more Eagles. Welcome back as we approach the 1 o'clock hour. As I just lost my mouse. My mouse just fell on the ground. A bad mouse. Yeah, so funny that we're having so much conversation about throwing a ball. Our friend Mike just sent me a thing after I read what the guy said that over in Russia, maybe they don't play baseball and football. He said, yeah, but didn't you ever wrap up like a piece of paper and just throw it at somebody?
No.
Oh, stop.
He must not have. Matvey Michkov did not do that.
Matvey didn't.
I have.
I know you have. You've thrown pieces of paper at me before.
That probably sounds right. It's probably about reminding you about something, though.
Yeah, we were going to commercial break one time on Daily News Live, and I was running overtime, and you wrapped up a piece of paper and threw it at me.
I always let you guys talk.
No, that's what you did. That's the way you used to be.
That's it. Get it together, everyone.
Yeah, so if I were to ask you about sports in general, Aim,
yes,
and we're talking about slumps, whether it's individual, whether it's a team, do you have in your head like a way to get out of it? Whether it's, you have kids now playing sports. Well, Shawnee's playing sports. Baker's too little. But, you playing sports, you watching sports as much as we do. Because I always have one thing in my mind, that when you're slumping, it's play harder. And it sounds weird, like, well, how can you play harder in baseball? Yeah, it's something a little bit different. Like, I don't know, if I hit a fly out to left field, I'm going to try something different. I want my teammates to see me running as hard as I can. I want to try to get to second base before the guy catches the ball. Something. Just, like, to me, it's always try and or play harder. Now, that's just me. Others could say, no. Stay within yourself. Calm down. Relax. But what kind of comes to your mind when you're talking about slumping of a way a team and individual might get out of it?
Like hyper-focus is what comes to mind for me.
Yeah.
I would focus on, like, the one thing I know that I can get better at. If it's something that, like, let's say you're playing golf, for example, and it's just a terrible round, but you're usually a good insert driver, chipper, putter, whatever, then really hone in on whatever that is. So if you're slumping in baseball and you're usually just make the little things that you can make, the fine-tuned things as crisp and hone in on those, that's kind of what I would do. The things you can improve upon. If you start to look at the giant picture of I'm not doing well here, I'm not doing well here, then you start to really get bogged down, and then you do start thinking about that kind of like black ink sinking in of like, I'm going to be dragged down into this again. I think if you can focus on like whatever it is that's going wrong, focus on one thing that you know that you can absolutely hyper-focus in on that, fix that, and then you can worry about it. Because I think that's true for any problem. If you look at if you're having some issues, whatever, job, life, whatever, and if you look at all of them, it's overwhelming,
yeah.
right? So if you just pick one thing, work on that, and then it's like a little grocery list. All right, I picked that one off. I got the fruit. Now I have to go down to the bread aisle, and then I can solve that problem.
Ray, if you're that person, if you are in a slump, if your team is in a slump, is there anything that comes to your mind like, all right, this has to start happening?
I don't know if there's anything specifically for me that comes to mind of like this has to start happening, because I think if you have one answer to it, you probably have the wrong answer to it, because ultimately the way that I would respond to a situation is different than the way you would respond to a situation. I think that goes into sports. My personal way of dealing with this, if I was them, I would take an hour of my time that's somewhere, no baseball, no nothing, and just my mind's on something totally something else. I know Jeff Hoffman talks about liking to play Call of Duty. I'd lock in, and guess what? I'm going on the online servers, and I'm yelling at 13-year-old kids for 2 hours and just playing a game, doing something that's not what I'm struggling at. Because the more I focus on something, I would become hyper-focused on the bad, and I would probably start trying too hard at it. And that would probably overdo it for me. So I would probably do the exact opposite, kind of what you guys say, hyper-focus. I would take my focus away for a moment, and I would try and break into something else that I enjoy to stay away from it.
So if we were to like take a ride over to Haddonfield and we see Bryce Harper out there playing a 5-on-5 on the playgrounds, we'd be all right with it.
Yeah, get
some basketball running to get that baseball thing out of his mind.
Kind of clear your head. I think I would think a lot of them would hopefully to do that. I mean, obviously they have to the travel, but a time away as far as the game, they have to travel tomorrow.
Yeah,
traveling to Seattle.
Yeah, exactly.
Or are they going tonight? I don't know.
Probably what's today?
Probably tonight with the
12:35
game.
That's probably why.
Yeah, that's a
Maybe
long.
They can go to
I've done that flight.
I've taken that flight.
That's.
And go to the fish market, walk around.
Now, see, I never got to walk around the city because usually I was getting a connector to go to I was always getting a connection to go to Portland because a lot of times, I don't know why, I couldn't get a straight flight from here to Portland, so I would have to go to Seattle and then fly down to Portland. But that is it's a nice long
We went to
flight.
the Seahawks game 2017, the year they won the Super Bowl. We went to that game.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, that stadium is phenomenal, and 2 is by far the loudest arena of
It was
any sort.
built to be that way.
And it is.
Right?
You felt it like you're physically like reverberations were in your chest from everybody.
Really?
And I did not. Everybody says that, and I thought, oh yeah, 12th man, blah blah blah. No, it's 100% a real thing. I was like, it was concerning. I was like, I have to sit down because my body is physically vibrating from the amount of noise. It was, and it's a cool cool city. We loved going. Obviously, they did not win that game, but Eagles got the last laugh as they got the party that year. But it was a cool city. We walked around quite a bit.
I would. Seattle's a city I got to get to. Haven't been to that. There's just a few in America cities that I haven't been to that I want to get to. One of them, Ray was just at, is Pittsburgh. I can't believe I haven't been to Pittsburgh
yet.
But
that either.
It's on my list. Ron in Allentown knows how to get out of a slump. Ron, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Yeah. I mean, I think at this level, like we all compete, right? I think it's a belief thing. It's like a mentality thing. There's the business side of pro sports that if you're just simply not trying, then all right, we trade you, whatever. Like you're going to lose out, like in that end of it because you're not doing your job. But as an athlete, and I played a lot of sports, and I coach, the youth levels now. I find that it's so much more a mentality thing, and like when your kid struggles at something, right? Like it's not necessarily coming down on them; it's encouraging them. And like the example I gave your call taker was, when Trey Turner was struggling a couple years ago, like the fans decided, like, hey, instead of coming down on this dude, we're going to give him a standing ovation when he walks up to the plate. And he even said, this is a guy who's at the top of his game. He said how much of a difference that made. So I don't know how much. Let's put it this way. If the fan base really rallied and developed like a we believe attitude, like we believe in you, and just let that be like the loudest thing we do at the games, hell, if it doesn't work, nobody's worse off, right?
You're still having fun, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing I see sometimes. Like I go to a lot of games, maybe like 20, 25 years with my wife. We're all in. See a lot of people down there. They're just like, they're shooting the breeze with their buddy, there's not a lot of fan involvement, I think, and because you get comfortable, right? We win 60 games, before anyone else in the whole league, and it's kind of like almost becomes like a ho hum thing. But like those other teams are trying. They're trying, like hell to knock you off.
Sure.
And I wonder if the fans adopted that same thing that they did for Trey, a few years ago for the entire team, and just really went out and went after it from a fan base.
Hey, Ron's calling out the fan. I like it. Ron, thanks so much for the call.
I think they have been cheering. You haven't heard
Ladies and gentlemen, Philadelphia Phillies, and then just like crazy.
Yeah, I think they've been, they've given them so many reasons to cheer this year. I have not seen the fan base turn on them yet. That is a large patch. I just saw it. Wow. Wow, just didn't know it was going to be that big on their uniform. But I think that they've been pretty good. You haven't heard that there was definitely a smattering at times. There was more like a groan, and it's when I heard it when it wasn't anything to do with Garrett Stubbs. It was a position player pitching because I thought, well, this now we've reached the theater of the absurd.
Yeah.
When you have that guy out there and it's already a 12-2 game or whatever it was. It doesn't matter. But I thought, all right, the fans haven't. But yeah, I think the point is like let's just get something going in a positive way. Anything will help at this point.
Yeah.
Anything.
And I always thought it was funny, like people complain about that. Having fun, I'm never going to complain about. Having fun's the best thing to have, eh?
It's the only thing to have.
It's the only thing to have. I absolutely agree with you. All right, when we get back, Jeff Mosher from Inside the Birds is going to join us. Let us know what it looked like yesterday when they put on those pads. That's right, pads.
That's what it is.
Pads and had an actual real practice yesterday. We'll talk to Jeff when we get back. Amy Fadul with us today. I'm Bob Cooney, Ray Dunn producing. This is Middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. Don't look, stay with us. That's all I can tell you.
There you go.
Yeah, this is the place to be. This is where you want your attention to be. That's all I'm going to say on that subject. That's right. Do not do it. But we are lucky now to have with us from Inside the Birds on the Comcast Business Hotline, Jeff Mosher joining us. Jeff, thanks for joining us today. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great. Bob, Amy, two of my favorite people in this industry, in this city. How are you guys?
Hiya,
Moshe.
Moshe.
I was right there with you.
Moshe, it's so good to hear your voice. One of my top 5 people I've ever had the opportunity to work with. Love me some Jeff Mosher. Top 5.
Oh, likewise. Do I even ask who the first 4 are? But don't worry, let's not. I'd rather not know.
I'll tell you, Moshe. She told me last week I was in the top 10, so you're way above me. I'll put it there. But you had a chance yesterday. It looked odd. I was like, what's going on here? Something looks a lot different. They actually put pads on yesterday. Just some quick observations that you noticed from practice, just from yesterday with the pads on before we dive a little deeper, Jeff.
Yeah, Bob, and you know, as I think we talked before, Andrew DeCecco, our great reporter who's on your station all the time, he gets the credential. He goes to all of our the practices, whereas I kind of rely on sourcing. I write stuff from home, but I'm well versed on what's going on. And the one thing, and I've been to the padded practices under Nick Sirianni before. The one thing that always jumps out to me, and I'm not trying to sound like the old guy, you know, yelling at the lawn, but you and I talked about this, I think, last week. Even practice in pads now is not the same as it used to be back in the Lehigh days and even before that, right? I mean, people would come the night before and then you would get there really early because there would be a good hour and a half of tackling and, you know, Brian Dawkins racing around a corner to smack a third-string running back right before he goes out of bounds, right? And you hear that thud and you're 5 feet away. Those were the glory days. Now they put the pads on and they do a lot of thud more than tackling, which is sort of that contact. You can get a guy and grab him, but you're not trying to get him fully to the ground. So it's a big difference. Oddly enough, I think more fights start because of thud than actual, and there haven't been any yet, but then actual tackling to the ground, because there's sort of that expectation that you're going to hit me, but you're not going to hit me that hard. But then somebody actually does hit you that hard, and then all of a sudden you see the pushing and shoving go back and forth. I'm sure in about 2 or 3 days that's going to start to happen.
Yeah, Moshe, it's so different when you look at the practices. You mentioned, obviously, for Lehigh for now, but even before that, before they made the move to NovaCare, I think that they would all kind of transition, and rightfully in some instances, because the practices have also gotten shorter. But given the amount of time you're out there looking, and you know they're actually practicing something that's resembling football, because without pads, it doesn't really exactly resemble football. How much do you take away from those padded practices overall, as opposed to when you're watching some of the drills, you know, during a different day of camp?
Yeah, there's no doubt there are certain positions and there are certain concepts, Amy, when the pads come out that you're able to get a better idea of. And the players will be the first to admit that, you know, and players back in the day used to say, you look good in shirts and shorts, but when the pads come out, it's different. First of all, the intensity is always raised up a notch. I mean, the pads are on, so like I said, you expect a little bit more toughness. But I think the offensive line and defensive line is where, first of all, they don't even do the lineman drills, which I love, the O-line versus D-line one-on-ones, until the pads come out, because what sense would it make to try to do these, you know, simulate these collisions and blocking when you can't even really, you know, get your hands into somebody, or you can't fight back if you're an offensive lineman. So those will start and have started once the pads come out, and you get a better idea in those 11-on-11s for a pass rush, even on a running play, guys kicking out, because now you're allowed to use more force, use more aggression. And, you know, if you're an offensive lineman, right, you can use your arms a little more. And you're taking your vertical sets, but a guy's coming at you, you can put your hands into his chest. That stuff, you don't really see the first 3, 4, 5 days, which is why it's more of a passing camp. It's more of a 7-on-7 camp. It's a glorified mini camp for the first, 4, 5, 6 days.
Jeff, we've heard a lot about Quinyon Mitchell, and it seemed like a lot of people were talking about him after yesterday. What have you heard about how he's looked so far in camp? And maybe we can expand it a little bit into that whole secondary and what you think it might look like when they get Brazil to play that opening game.
It's a great question, Bob. You can always tell a lot by a rookie on what a coaching staff is doing with him from the start. And the book on Quinyon Mitchell coming out of Toledo was A+ character, A+ intellect, A-plus athleticism, right? This is why it was a first-round pick. But if you were to find one question mark watching tape or about his pedigree, it would be that in college, at Toledo especially, not only did he not play a very high level of competition compared to people who played at Power 5 schools, but they played a predominant off-coverage style of defense. So that makes you think, all right, you might have to ease him in. He may have to learn press man techniques. He did a little bit of it at the Senior Bowl, but that's just a very short sample. The fact that they have played him inside, dime linebacker, outside, everywhere, Bob, shows you that Vic Fangio has already seen that whatever this guy lacks in experience at a very important NFL concept, press man coverage and man coverage, up coverage, that they believe he has the intellect, the athleticism, and the overall talent to transition. Because when you're on the inside, you got a lot of traffic, you got a lot of sorting, you have to be physical as either a nickel corner, dime corner / dime linebacker. You have to be aware of route trees that are going to be different from the inside than there are from the outside. You don't have the sideline to use as an extra defender. So that's why you often see guys on the inside are veterans, guys who have played 3, 4, 5 years. They move from the outside to the inside. Sheldon Brown used to do it all the time. He was a good outside corner. Once they wound up getting Rod Hood and other guys who can run a little better, they would move Sheldon on the inside because he was so physical and so smart. He could run the receiver's route before the receiver ran it. One of the best one-on-one drill guys I'd ever seen at training camp. The fact that Quinyon Mitchell is already doing all this, to me, is a very positive sign that at very least he will be a starter in some, whether it's a sub package, whether it's inside nickel, that they might have envisioned for Cooper DeJean, who's not able to be out there injured. You might be able to see Quinyon Mitchell as your starting nickel back. You might see him starting on the outside by week 1 if they're confident enough, and then if they really like how Isaiah Rodgers is still playing then, or Keely Ringo, then he might start outside Quinyon against 2 receiver formations, but then move inside against your nickel and dime formations, because you're seeing that versatility, you're seeing that talent. But as we go along here, Bob, I have a hard time thinking that unless he just starts to fall on his face or really start swimming, if he continues at this trajectory, why would you not want your first-round pick starting on the outside opposite Darius Slay? It's
an ideal situation. As we're talking to Jeff Mosher, because you drafted him, the first corner they've drafted in the first round in 20 years, and he's turned out to be everything everybody expected and more. And so you love to see that payoff. It's interesting when you're looking at some of the other draft picks, specifically at maybe that linebacker position. It was maybe eyebrow raising's too strong, but it definitely kind of perked everyone's interest when the very first time we heard from Vic Fangio, Moshe, he specifically mentioned Zach Bond, and I think everybody looked down and was like, wait, what? Zach? Oh, okay. And then now you're seeing it looks like Devin White is solidified as the one linebacker spot, and it seems like between the rotations, I know it's early, but Bond is above Nakobe Dean. Can Dean get that back? Is that true competition, you think, at this point right now?
It's a good question, Amy, and you have to balance a couple of things. First of all, Adam and I talk all the time on the Inside the Birds podcast, next one will be out Thursday morning, about not letting your eyes deceive you in the first week or 2 of training camp, and certainly not letting the quotes deceive you either. If you go back to last year at this time, the Eagles were, they really didn't know what they were going to do at safety. They didn't really have a very good free agent period there, bringing in the guy from the Steelers, who's Edmonds, right?
Yeah.
Kevon Wallace was still on the team in year 4 and hadn't established himself, but he was starting to run with the team right out of the gate. And Kevon Wallace was saying, hey, I feel like this is my year. I've done everything I can. The quotes from the defensive coordinator at the time, whether it was Sean or even Nick, they were like, oh, yeah, we think Kevon. But we just knew, you've seen enough football. Kevon Wallace is not going to be the starter because it's year 4 for him, and he hadn't really done anything for 3 years. It's very rare that a guy is just suddenly, bam, going to do it. So let's fast forward to Zach Bond here. I'm not saying this is an apples-to-apples case. I'm just saying we have to watch what we hear and see early in camp. This guy has never played inside linebacker before, not at Wisconsin, where he was an edge rusher, and very little with the Saints for 4 years, where he mainly played special teams and rotational edge rusher. The fact that they've just thrown him in there and said, hey, look at him, he's going to get our most reps at inside linebacker, to me, in my years of seeing this happen, is they're seeing what they've gotten him, and he needs the most reps to see what they've gotten him, as opposed to Devin White, right, and opposed to Nakobe Dean, who have been inside linebackers. So let's see what happens. He's certainly a great athlete. He seems to be a very smart guy. And Vic Fangio last year did something similar with Van Ginkel in Miami, where he took a guy who had been kind of also a Wisconsin guy, amazingly, had been an edge rusher, and kind of made him a hybrid inside-outside guy. And then Van Ginkel had a really nice year and signed a 2-year, $20 million deal with the Vikings. So I believe right now they're in let's see what we've got mode. I would not slam the door on Nakobe Dean and Devin White still starting your two inside linebackers and nickel, which is your predominant coverage now, when the season opens. But we'll have to see.
Moshe, everything starts. We're talking to Jeff Moshe from Inside the Birds on the Comcast Business Hotline. Everything starts with Jalen Hurts. And from the reports that, we hear, stories we read, he's been really, really good, it seems like, this training camp. What do you know that's be different about him this training camp than maybe what was not there last year?
I tell you, Bob, a really good sign is that you hear this from us reporters every year, right? Defense is always ahead of offense for the first week and a half of camp. It just always starts that way. And you expected that even more so this year with Jalen Hurts and the offense learning a new Kellen Moore offense, which is totally different than the one they've ran in the past. The fact that the offense has been pretty smooth so far, and I think the biggest takeaway so far, Bob, and again, I hate letting training camp sort of paint a broader picture, but we'll keep it in the context. Not only is the ball not hitting the ground very often, it's not finding its way into the opponent's hands very often. If you were to take one thing about Jalen Hurts' game last year that was concerning compared to like the year before and the year before that, it's that there were way too many turnovers, too many interceptions, too many fumbles. And I know a lot of people want to say, well, there was no answer for all the blitzes. And yet, no, I mean, he threw some bad interceptions into the teeth of some cover twos also. The Jets game, the Bucks game. So there were times where he was turning the ball over without pressure. And the fact that so far this camp, I don't think that there's been one single interception yet, is a very good sign.
I think that when we see the open practice happen, I think there's a good chance the largest cheer is going to be for Saquon Barkley for a myriad of reasons. But one is that hopefully that the wide receiver screen days are done and it's been replaced. But I think when we get so excited about this offense, Moshe, one of the reasons beyond the fact that you have such two stud receivers is you have such a weapon in Saquon Barkley. But I also go back to last year when we were talking about how they were going to use DeAndre Swift into the offense, and that never came to fruition. Now, completely different offense, new offensive coordinator, big reason why there's more hope on that front. How much do you think Saquon Barkley will be involved in the passing game to try to alleviate some of that pressure on Jalen Hurts?
Great question, Amy. It's one of the biggest things I'll be watching, and that's one of the areas where training camp, I think, can also be really deceiving, because last year, right at this time, I remember Adam and I doing a lot of pods saying, wow, they're just throwing the ball to DeAndre Swift all over the field. Everybody remembers that there were 9 routes. I mean, the guy was catching the ball like it was a slot receiver, right? And then, as you mentioned, DeAndre Swift had the fewest receptions and receiving yards of his career last year. Ironically, had the most rushing attempts and rushing yards of his career. I mean, they somehow turned him into a high-volume running back, and he avoided injury, which was the book on him. So let's wait and see. Obviously, Saquon has a really nice skill set to be able to catch the ball and do some tremendous things in space. But to me, this is about the quarterback. Does the quarterback take the check down? Does he see the running back in the route progression there to get him the ball? Because a lot of times your running back, as you mentioned, unless it's the screen, is not the first read or the first progression. So I'd like to think that it's a part of the offense that we're going to see improve and get better, but it's sort of, you have to see it happen in a real game first to believe that it'll happen more consistently.
All right, Moshe, last thing for you. I played a clip from Britton Covey from yesterday, and him talking about studying the slot receiver under Kellen Moore and him hoping to become that with this offense. Could you see that being sprinkled in and him being used in particular in that case?
Oh, so glad you asked this question, Bob. In fact, Adam and I are going to really go take a deep dive into this slot position on the podcast that'll come out Thursday morning. So if you look at Kellen Moore's history, of slot receivers, right? Going back last year to L.A. and the 2 years with Dallas, he's known, at least by his history, of taking his best, most versatile receiver, reliably versatile receiver, and putting him in the slot. Last year, Keenan Allen was on his way to a ridiculous number, a record-breaking number of catches because he was, mostly a receiver in 11 personnel. He did play some outside, but he moved inside a lot when they went to 11 personnel, which is the bread and butter for Kellen Moore. If you remember in Dallas, Bob and Amy, CeeDee Lamb played far more in the slot than he did last year. He was an inside-outside guy in Kellen Moore's offense, but really probably over 50% of the snaps in the slot. And so when you look at this Eagles offense, you would say, who would be that power slot guy that's perfect for what Kellen Moore has done? Well, you would probably take Devontae Smith. You would say, hey, this is a candidate for a guy to see as, maybe not 50-50, but 40-45% in the slot to try to create those same kind of mismatches. But I just don't believe that the Eagles want Devontae Smith in the slot that much because of his size, his frame. There's a lot of traffic in there, and he's not as big as a CeeDee Lamb or as compact as a Keenan Allen. And so that really leaves a hole there. And it may take an adjustment philosophically for Kellen Moore here as he looks at Britton Covey or Paris Campbell. They drafted two guys who are completely different in size. Anais Williams, who's about 5'10", but like a kind of a strong frame 5'10", and then Johnny Wilson, who's 6'7", who's obviously very long and lean, who they've been using inside. And I honestly don't know, and I don't know if they know right now, who the best option is to be that number 3 inside guy. And I have a feeling it's going to wind up being situational because, Paris Campbell was getting a lot of run in the slot, but he has never stayed healthy in his career. And to put him in the slot full time is kind of a gamble there. So Britton Covey, I think, is a guy who can surprise you because he has really good short area quickness. He's entering year 3. He studies the position. He's a very good punt returner. I almost thought they would use him as a gadget player, as the way, like a Ray McLeod, you had of him in orbit motions or jet sweeps and try to get the ball. I just don't know if he's built to be a full-time slot receiver at his size. I mean, every time he gets hit, it looks pretty violent.
It does.
He gets smattered.
So it may just be like a juggling. Yeah, it may just be a juggling of the bodies, and it may be a position where at the end of camp, Rosen says, I got to get a different guy in here for that spot.
Well, Moshe, we really appreciate you joining us. Now, you guys have a drop coming on Thursday. Is that what you said, Inside the Birds?
Inside the Birds podcast. That's correct. Tomorrow's Thursday, right? I always forget.
Tomorrow is Thursday, yes.
I had to think for a second,
yeah,
too.
Me too. Well, Moshe, listen,
Thanks,
we really
Moshe.
appreciate you joining us, and we will be in touch with you throughout this beautiful Eagles season.
Appreciate it. Great talking to both of you.
All right, buddy.
Bye, Moshe.
Thanks. Jeff Moshe from Inside the Birds. Check out the podcast. They'll have a new one dropping tomorrow with he and Adam Kaplan. So a lot of stuff there that we'll dive into in a little bit. There's nowhere you'd rather be than listening to us. Trust me when I tell you that. This is the place to keep you happy. So, all right, when we get back, we'll dive into a little bit of what Moshe had to say about the Birds, about what you think about it. Also, if you're on the phone, stay there. We will get to you, get to your calls. Amy, you're the best. You take it easy. You have other obligations to go to now, so we will talk to you when we talk to you.
Yes, I'll see you guys.
You got it.
Go
all right.
Phils.
Stay with us, everybody. Middays, Bob Cooney, Ray Dunn producing. We'll be back in a couple minutes. Third hour here on the show. Thanks so much for joining us. Once again, hope you're having a good Wednesday as we take you up to the best show ever. Tyrone, Bill Colarulo, and Savannah is back today. So you'll have that coming up at 2 o'clock. We just got off the line with Jeff Mosher from Inside the Birds, talking Eagles. A lot of stuff going on there. And one of the things that kind of stuck out to me is Saquon Barkley is kind of a toy that Kellen Moore's probably used to having that type of thing and working with that type of a running back, a versatile running back. I'm really anxious because a lot of talk has been made like, look, there's nothing this guy can't do. We know Saquon Barkley from playing, Penn State Giants, all that. But, Ray, I think there's going to be such an involvement here with Saquon Barkley, even though you still have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, all those guys. But I think we're going to get more from Barkley than we're even envisioning that we might get.
I'm really hoping so. I'm going to be interested to see the way the season starts and whether they are going to try and not necessarily protect. That's probably not the right word, but I don't know if you're going to get the crazy number of touches per game that some people might anticipate for him. Like, I do think we're going to go through a portion of the season where we're fielding just give the ball more to Barkley. Give it more to Barkley. Because, this is a town of run the ball.
This is Philadelphia.
But just in general, I think what people are expecting, I don't know if he's going to get as many touches as what people might be.
What's good for you, touch-wise, per game for Saquon Barkley? 12 and 4? 12 carries, 4 receptions, something like that? Is that too high, too low?
Somewhere between the 16 to 20. I think probably 16 to 18, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Like, especially early on. Like, I think they're going to still be in a filling out process of the way this offense is going to go. And if there is a knock against the guy, it's been his health.
Yeah. So. My only number, really, that I throw out there a lot about the offense, every single game, I need both Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown to have 10 targets. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
You can live with that, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to work this out in my head numbers-wise, how many offensive plays you're going to have and how it's going to shake out.
It's like 65-ish, I would say, is about average.
65-ish, so runs. Yeah, I want them to have 10 targets apiece.
Okay.
See? Point blank.
You got it. I'm giving it to you, Ray.
One, I'm so interested in this offense week in and week out, how we're managing, how we're talking about touches, targets, all those things, because we just named 3 guys and we still don't bring up Goddard.
Yeah, exactly.
The nice thing about this offense is that you have all those pieces. And the nice thing is they've all been paid. But I'm going to be really intrigued as to who the first person that we get all right, how are they not getting the ball to fill in the blank player?
Yeah.
Hopefully we're not having that conversation because they're just winning. And we're like, it'd be nice to see this player get involved, but they're winning.
What was it? Week 1, Devontae's rookie year, he didn't even get a catch, I believe. Something like, I forget, but it was something weird. And then the next week, had 6 for 112 or whatever. But Ben in Orlando has some concerns. Ben, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on?
Yeah, guys, number one, awesome show. Thanks for leading us into the awesome season I hope we'll all have. You guys are awesome as usual.
Thank you, buddy.
Question. Thanks for taking my call, and then you can drop me, and I'd love to hear your conversation about it. But here's what I believe. Think McNabb, Wentz, borderline Vic, but definitely here with Jalen Hurts. I feel like we bring in these running quarterbacks, and whether they're told to stay in the pocket or in McNabb and Wentz's case, they can't run, as soon as a defense knows that quarterback's not coming out of the pocket for whatever reason, we get the L, not the W. When we run, we rock a W. I remember the days when McNabb would come off the field and be like, dude, the guy hit 11 different targets. So I'm glad you're talking about the weapons we have. And not to put it all on the QB, but I feel like 6 out of the 7 losses, I'd like to see what kind of rushing yards did Hurts have? How much did he run in those games that we lost to confuse those defenses? Because, again, and here's where I just want to get your thoughts, as a defense against the Eagles, when you know that quarterback is either going to be very minimal or not come out of that pocket, he's not going to do the Patrick Mahomes thing, which I get excited to be able to see Mahomes to say, can we please be gone with the days that if you run, you're going to kill your career, right? Mahomes and others are proving, right, that you can live in the league for a long time and be very successful running the ball and throwing the ball. But anyway, I hope I made my point. I'd like to hear your thoughts. We need him to run.
and have a good arm. But without that running thing, that defense is not confused, and they can start to cover our weapons with a lot more confidence.
Ben, it's a great point, and here's my answer to you. Thanks so much. The difference is, to me, he had all that 2 years ago. Jalen Hurts had that running ability. He had quickness. He had speed, which are two different things. He had all that, had a marvelous season, and the Eagles go to the Super Bowl. Last year he didn't, and we talked about this. If you look at highlights from 2 years ago of Jalen Hurts running in an open field, running to make a pass, whatever it may be, compared to last year, it is night and day. There was an injury there last year. Somebody, I forget who it was, that brought out that he had a bone bruise. Somebody reported, early in the season there was a bone bruise there. That's something that looked like it lingered and stayed with him, because I'm not kidding you. If you go back 2 years ago and look at Jalen Hurts running the football, and I'm not just saying putting his head down. I'm talking mobility, quickness, speed. It was nowhere near the same. So I think that's your answer right there, right? A healthy Jalen Hurts versus what I think was a hindered one last year.
And an offense designed to maximize that. I think we got away from a lot of the zone read. Point. And I think especially now with Barkley, you have to respect the fact that the ball might be handed off to Barkley while Hurts is holding it. That's a massive advantage for just Jalen Hurts to get out there and make a play. So I think, you're going to see that this year. I think overall what level they can get to as an offense, they can get to a whole new level by utilizing his legs. I'm looking forward to seeing how they do that and how this offense is generated to take advantage of the talent that they have and what they have in him. So, I think that's going to be a big part of it this year. I mean, I don't think you go back to last year, and I don't know if there's really a direct correlation to runs for him versus victories and not runs for him. I think you're just looking at the large product of, hey, he seemed like he was hampered by something. Right. We all know, and we've spent hours upon hours talking about what their offense was and how it was designed and, the back and forth they had a season ago. I think with that behind you, with whatever was bothering him, with the knee behind you, you can get into a position where that becomes something that once again elevates this offense to a whole nother level.
It might be the most exciting words that I've heard come out of the camp came from Dave Zangara when we had him on. I think it was last week, right? And he came on and said, it's so noticeable how fast Jalen Hurts is right now. It's noticeable because it wasn't there last year. I really do believe that, because if you get a second, go back and look at highlights of Jalen Hurts from 2 years ago and then look at running highlights from last year. You will see just an unbelievable difference. I'm not going to say it's the most important thing in their offense, Ray. The threat of it is highly important, though, right?
Yeah, the threat of it, and again, it takes your offense from one level to another when you can add that dimension to it. You trust what he is as a passer. You trust what he is out there as a quarterback. But just the thought process in someone's head of, I got to account for that. He's starting to break to his right. He might not just be moving to his right to try and find open lane to throw this down the field. He might be able to take us and get a first down just with his legs here. It's just a whole nother thing for a coordinator to have to sit up at night and think about, for a defense to have to account for. You're going to be encouraged by them bringing that back this year.
So I asked this of Jeff Mosher when we had him on, and I'll ask you, Ray. And he was saying that it was pretty cool that Quinyon Mitchell's out there, and they're putting him in different places, and it makes him think he's going to be out there starting come game one, somewhere, some way. Who do you think the starting secondary is on opening night for the Eagles this year? Slay's a given.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say Blankenship and CJ GJ are given. Who's your slot and who's your other starting corner?
Probably Rodgers outside and Mitchell inside right now, the way they're going. I don't know. I'd like to think that Mitchell eventually just takes over and is the outside corner there. They might like what they have in Rodgers and may see hey, that could be something that we want to test out a little bit, maybe see what Mitchell has for you on the inside there. I'd like to think he's going to end up on the outside, just opposite Slay, or in a case where, hey, Slay at his age, does he play an entire season starting out there on the outside? Maybe he's pushes out there and it's Rodgers and Mitchell by the time we get to the end of the season. But they seem to like him too much at the beginning for me to believe that he's not out there to start the season.
Yeah, it seems like it. And then I thought the other interesting thing that Moshe talked about was the linebacker position. Devin White is going to be there. Zach Bond has been talked about more than anybody else when coaches are asked about the position. But he said not to give up yet on a Nakobe Dean and to keep an eye on that and that he's, getting reps and see what happens there. I thought it interesting yesterday. A lot of people came out and said, whoa, Nakobe Dean, when they ran some linebacker blitz packages, was unbelievable. We don't know we know that Vic Fangio isn't a huge blitz guy. Is he showing something in an area that isn't even going to be looked to be gotten done by a Vic Fangio? Where are you standing on Nakobe Dean right now?
I'm standing, I think, where I've been for the last year at this point. My expectations for him are, it'd be great if it becomes what he should be, but my holding out hope for that dwindles more and more just because of what I've seen. And I think first year he's overmatched, second year he's hurt. So maybe he hasn't been given the full opportunity to go do it. I'd want him to go do it, but the fact that we're talking so much about Zach Bond doesn't exactly give me warm and fuzzy feelings about the way we're going with Nakobe Dean.
And it's a guy that's never played the position before.
Right.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy to me. I got to tell you, the 1 o'clock hour, it's brought to you by Ferguson HVAC Lyon Conklin. Attention HVAC contractors. For equipment, parts, and supplies for every heating and cooling job, visit one of Ferguson's counter locations in Bensalem, King of Prussia, Pennsauken, or Westchester. So I love how Mo said, look, before you put on the pads, everything's great. Everybody looks good. Everybody's fast. Everybody's, in great shape and all of these things. I wanted to ask him, and okay, but what's the one bad story that's going on? Who's mumbling about whom? Who's saying, oh, my God, you looking at, I don't know, let's say Josh Sweat? He hasn't been able to get off a block yet in training camp. If we're going to hear the first bad story, Ray, I'm kind of looking at the pass rush. I think that's going to be a bad story. I'm going to say that's the first eye that people are going, yeah, we haven't really seen that, happen yet. I'm really concerned about the pass rush on this team, and I just don't think it's there.
It's not proven to be. It's not proven. You saw it fall off at the end of last season, and the best one that you had, you got rid of. So you're not proven to have anything there in terms of your pass rush so far. And it hasn't been something I think that's been talked a ton about. We got a little Nolan Smith hype coming up, I think, earlier in this week. We were talking about just the way he looks and, maybe he's moving a little bit quicker there. But I don't know how much I've actually seen, heard, read,
it's funny,
talked about when it comes to the pass rush.
It's fun, not to interrupt you, but somebody, I heard somebody bring up Nolan Smith on our airways the other day, and then they said, well, of course, that's the exact same thing we said about him in training camp last year. So I don't know. It's such an unknown to me. I don't have confidence that Josh Sweat's going to get better now that you took away Hassan Reddick. I don't know that Bryce Huff's going to be able to do anything after playing 40% of snaps last year and being counted on for so many things now. I don't know. I just don't know, and that's kind of the way I feel about the whole defense. It's an I don't know defense. That hasn't changed at all during training camp for me.
No, I don't think it should. We could talk all we want about the wonderful things coming out of camp. It's camp.
Yeah, you're
Pads
right.
went on yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue to get excited, continue to feed me the good stories. It's a lot better than, so we're standing at the front door of the facility waiting for the top wide receiver to report or the top edge rusher to report or, hey, we're talking about a lame duck coach. We're talking about a quarterback who doesn't have a contract. Our problems are better than some other teams right now. Because, you're not sitting there whoa, when's this guy showing up? Is there tension in the room?
Right.
But, the positivity, there's only so much I can really take to say, yeah, that's going to be on the field come September 6th. When we get to Brazil, that's going to all come to fruition. I imagine if Hurts hasn't thrown a ball that's hit the ground yet, one of those at least will hit the ground in Brazil.
Yeah, there's going to be balls hitting ground, no question about it.
Yeah,
Let's not get caught up in the moment. We talked about it with the Phillies earlier, both good and bad, and right now it's mediocre. So
they're 17-0, the Eagles. After a week of the preseason, a week of training camp,
right.
They're 17-0.
Problem is nobody else has a loss either.
Super Bowl, I think, if I had to guess, they probably beat the Chiefs by 30 in the Super Bowl.
All right.
After a week of training camp.
I'm with you on that. Because ball has not hit ground. All right, we get back. We're going to wrap this thing up, take you into the best show ever as Tyrone, Bill Colarulo, and Silvana will join you then. We will be back. Bob Cooney here, middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. Back about 1:50 right now. Midday show here at the Fanatic, taking you into the best show ever. Great fun today with Amy with us all day today. You're going to have some more fun as you get to the best show ever, as Tyrone, Bill Colarulo, and Silvana will do that for you. We talked a lot about the slumping Phillies today. If you want to stay sane, you're going to stay right here. Stay right here and listen to the program. And you know, we have a lot of fun here to be had as opposed to having to watch a team that's really, really struggling right now. But day off tomorrow they have, and then it's 10 straight on the road on the West Coast. We talked about this a little bit earlier, Ray. And it's sports in general, not just concerning the Phillies, but Amy said, the All-Star break got over, and then they had 6 home games. So everybody's like, oh, good, they're going to be home. And then things don't go so well. So you're like, all right, go away, get on the road. Like maybe a road trip is needed. You ever feel that with teams like, road trips needed, or, it's probably going to be good to get away? Because I don't look at 3 games in Seattle, 3 games against the Dodgers, 4 games against the Diamondbacks. It doesn't seem like a remedy to me.
Doesn't look like one for sure, given the fact that it's 3 teams that believe they're going to be competing in the postseason and competing at a high level. So that's probably not a good thing for you. I can't really find the silver lining on going to the West Coast other than, I'll be honest with you, I'm not really finding a silver lining. They have tomorrow off. That's good. Reset the mind. I don't know.
It's good to get a day off.
Yeah, what's the big tourism thing out in Seattle?
Where you throw the fish.
Yeah, that. Go do that.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you here. There's not a massive silver lining for me on this.
You say, I'll take that fish, and the guy grabs it, the fishmonger. He grabs it and he throws it over the counter to the other fishmonger. And they're not easy to catch because, in case you don't know, Ray, fish are very slippery.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did happen to know that.
But they do that, and they wrap it up for you, or they chop the head off or something. I don't know what they do to the fish. And they give it to you. And, the fish isn't alive.
No, I figured that much.
Okay.
Yeah, I did figure that much.
You don't want to be throwing live fish. Do you like fishing?
I do, yeah.
Yeah? Have you been a lot?
Yeah, fished with my dad.
Really?
He's a big fisherman.
What kind? Like go out in the bay, back
Flounder,
bay? Or?
Usually. We've done the ocean before. I'm a little tough with the motion sickness sometimes.
Yeah, so. I'm a little nervous to try. I've never gone out in the ocean fishing. I could sit, and I'm hoping to do this weekend with my brother-in-law, and maybe we're going to visit with Tunis also. But I could spend the whole day out on a back bay just throwing a line in. Whether I'm catching anything or not, don't really care. I think that is the most relaxing thing in the world.
As I have aged ever so slightly, that has become more and more relaxing.
It has. Do you find it hard to relax?
I did at one point. Now, any chance I get, I'll take it.
Yeah. There's a thing to knowing how to relax is the thing.
Yeah. I didn't know how to. I'm slowly figuring it out more and more.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you becoming good at it? Because it takes practice.
I'm good is probably not the word I would use. I'm finding my way.
Okay.
I have 5-star potential as a relaxer, but I have not yet, scratched the surface of my potential.
I can't help you either at all. Like my wife makes sure I can't sit still.
Like,
we'll go to sit out like in the backyard or something like that, and I'm up right away because I got to walk around. I got to do things. I got to move. I can't lay on a beach. I got to take walks. I got to play with the kids in the water. Play a game. It's just like some people are made for it. Some aren't. I'm not.
It's okay. It happens.
Maybe you never will.
I hope that's not the case.
Or
I would
maybe
prefer
someday you will.
I prefer that someday I figure it out.
Yeah. All right. So listen, we thank you so much for joining us today. We had a lot of fun with you with all the calls that we had. We will be back at it tomorrow. I believe Bill Colarulo with us tomorrow. Yes, that is correct. So we'll have Bill with us tomorrow. We hope you join us also. Stay tuned. Best show ever coming up next. Thanks for joining us, everybody.